kind of realized, like, I'm living other people's lives every single week.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have a lot of close friends. And I was just like, I have already lived a million lives.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be brave enough to walk away and find a different path.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though weddings were comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
it was, I wouldn't say easy. Like, there's definitely, but I was like in a groove.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
things were going well.
Things were going well.
Yeah.
I won
Photographer of the
yeah,
year.
like, I was doing great things, but I also just knew, like,
You weren't taking care of yourself.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't happy inside. And so I was like, I can always come back if I want to.
Right.
But I want to be brave enough to walk away.
You can please some of the people all of the time,
You can please all of the people some of the time.
but you can't please all of the people all of the time.
Welcome to the People Pleasers Podcast. Oh, hi, Sarah.
Hi, Grace. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. We're a bunch of losers.
Don't bring it up. It's been a rough week.
It's been a rough week.
It's been a rough weekend, but here we are. You know, we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
We're still happy.
We're still happy. It's off season. We're doing all right.
Yeah.
You're about to go on vacation.
I am.
I got Holt back.
You did.
We're doing okay.
Let's
Good
talk
things ahead.
Totally.
Yes.
And I want to hear about your Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah. I'd never been to New Orleans before, so that was really fun. Honestly, the city was great. Like, it was so much fun. Bourbon Street was awesome. We got
Was it stinky?
Yeah.
Last time I was there, it was really stinky.
It's pretty stinky.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Icky.
It's kind of icky, but like I like city, so I'm like, ooh, this is fun.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know why, it kind of reminded me, and it's mainly like Bourbon Street kind of reminded me of like an elevated college.
Yeah,
like it just kind of felt collegey.
It's just like a party street.
Yes, yeah. But it was still really, really fun. Getting to be there with Holt's family, with some of my own friends. We got to visit friends that live there. And they got to show us around. It was really fun. I think some of the highlights, obviously, none of Sunday's going to be a highlight. Some of my highlights on Friday and Saturday. I'm trying to think even what, I don't even know if I can think back to it. It happened so fast, but also at the same time, I was like, I feel like I've been here for a week. And Holt's like, I've actually been here for a week. So I feel like I've been here for a month.
You got this. I can tell you a highlight if you want.
Yeah.
You met Young Gravy.
That was Friday. That was Friday. And that was
need to
the
hear
best.
all about that.
Okay, so we were at the welcome party and
I died when
we were
you
talking to
posted
one
that.
of Holt's coworkers and she was like, guess who, do you guys know who Young Gravy is? And Holt and I are both like, yeah. And she's like, I just met him. And I was like, where? And she literally goes, he's right over there. And Holt and I literally just move and just like, thanks, Sid. And just start walking over. And then I'm starting to get really nervous.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Holt's like, give me your phone. And I don't even know what really happened. I was like, I'm scared. Oh my God, what am I going to say? And he just goes, Gravy. And like goes like this. Because we're like getting closer. And he's like, hey, Gravy. And I'm like, and then I think I kind of blacked out a little bit. And Holt's like, can we take a picture? And he was super nice. He was like, yeah. Puts his arm around me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You look like a couple.
Good. I'll take that. Sorry, Holt, I'm leaving you. All happening in front of Holt. And I think I like word vomited because I also felt so bad because I was like, if only Abby could be here right now because this is her hero.
Yeah, but you got to meet him.
And I mean, I love him as well. Maybe not as much as my sister, but like a lot. And I just said like, my sister loves you. I was like, we actually saw you when you were in Kansas City because that's where it's all kind of looping around really funny. We went and saw him in concert, me, Abby, and Holt. And that was the first time Abby and Holt hung out.
Okay.
At a Young Gravy concert.
That's so funny.
So fucking funny. So just a great memory to have. And so I was just like, my sister loves you. We saw you in Kansas City. He's like, oh, cool. I'm actually coming back to Kansas City. I'm like,
You're like,
no
can we
shit.
get backstage passes?
And I'm like, can you remember me? But yeah, I think I just kind of like word vomited and then Holt took a couple pictures and I'm cheesing so hard that I didn't post either of them.
Oh, no. Wait, what's the one that you posted? You were doing like a kissy face, weren't you?
No, I was looking up at him. He was talking to me.
That's right.
And Holt was taking pictures.
You were just
I was
admiring.
Like, I'm just looking at Gravy.
That's what it was. I was like, I feel like you were doing something
I
cute.
was just listening to him talk, his voice.
Does it talk like this?
No,
That was not it at all.
No, it's not it. It's so beautiful. It's just so deep, and he's so fucking tall.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every second. I loved that his arm was on me.
glad.
It was great. I literally couldn't talk for about 30 minutes after that, and Holt kept just being like, "You met Young Gravy." I was like, "I know." So yeah, that was probably the whole highlight of the entire trip, but especially on Friday. That was it. That was awesome. Yeah. So that was Friday. And then all the welcome party, everything was great. Saturday was a good day. That was a day to just run around NOLA. Got to hang out with friends, hang out on Bourbon, go down to the French Quarter or French Market, whatever.
I think it's French Quarter.
I think there's both.
Oh.
So rude, whoever's just going nuts outside
I feel
our
like we're
apartment
in
right now.
NYC right now. What is happening?
I wish. But no, that was really fun. The weather,
It was so nice.
so nice. Well, it was just warm. It was in like almost 80s, but the humidity was in the 80%. So my hair did not hold a curl all weekend. That's why I wore it straight for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what's the point? Which was also coincidentally a great thing at the same time because it was lovely. My body was very confused though. Once it got on the plane in Kansas City and off the plane in NOLA. But then Saturday we had a good dinner with his family, and then we went to a comedy show. And it was Bert Kreischer's show. And he has he did this for the Super Bowl in Arizona too, and he just brings like people with him. So it was him, Nikki Glazer. Oh my god, I can't think of the other two names. One I don't really like. Tony Hinchcliffe, and yeah, he sucked. That's just my opinion.
Fuck you, Tony.
That's just my opinion. And then damn it, what's his? It's a very kind of like basic short name, but he
Joe
no, but he got famous off of like portraying Dr. Phil. Fuck, I can't think of his name, and I feel really bad. He's very new.
Okay.
So fucking funny.
Okay.
He was so good. And then Holt and I's personal favorite, Shane Gillis.
I don't even know him.
I love him.
Okay.
So that was very special because he wasn't supposed to be there. He just
It was
he was a
surprise.
big Eagles fan, so he was just there. So it was just the fact that we got to see him. I think he came out he announced him, and we were just like, "Oh my god!" So that was great. And
my
Guy
gosh.
Fieri opened up and just said hi for everyone for Bert. So also who my sister loves.
Okay.
They are obsessed with Diners, Dine-Ins, and Drives, his show.
That's so funny.
So after I sent him her the Young Gravy picture and then the picture of Guy Fieri, Holt was like, I should have just brought your sister. I was like, yeah, you should have. She deserves this. So I got to see all her people.
Oh my
and then they brought up at the end of the show like Adam Devine and like all these other people comedians that I really love. So that was just really fun.
Super Bowl. You saw Kendrick?
I did see Kendrick.
Yeah.
I think that's the other highlight is hearing everyone yell A minor.
It sounded
Was
so loud.
It was so loud. It was awesome that I got chills.
Yeah.
I also just seeing Kendrick. He's incredible. I
And SZA?
loved it. And SZA. Oh my god, yeah, her voice. It was just so. That part was great. And yeah, I think Not Like Us was that hit me.
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Oh, I think it hit everybody.
Oh yeah,
I
it
love
was so great. Honestly, I love coming home and watching the halftime show because it's made for TV.
That was gonna be my question for you. Like how much you could actually I saw the video that you posted, but
Yeah.
how much you could actually see, because there were parts when he was in the corner surrounded by people, and I was
Right.
like, there's no way that anybody can see him right now.
No, it's made for TV.
Yeah.
I mean, they play basically kind of what's on TV. They play on the big screens,
Yeah.
but you want to be a part of it and experience it. And it's you get to hear it live, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's 10 times cooler at home, which I hate saying because I'm not taking for granted that I got to see him in person.
Right.
But it is just way
made for
better
TV.
to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
But being there was really cool. It sucks being on because we were the visitors this year. We weren't the home team, so they faced away from us. So he didn't face us. But I mean, thankfully they face every direction and all the things. But that was such a great time. And then even though the after party wasn't bump in his past years, we got to see MGK.
Okay.
Shabuzi was there. Who else performed? Quavo. I didn't see him. He was there last year.
He's old news.
He's only well, and then the Chainsmokers for the third year in a row.
Oh my goodness.
They've been to every
They
after
love
party.
the Chiefs.
Yes, they do. So they were there, and it was still fun. Shabuzi was good, and MGK's insanely talented.
Yeah?
holy crap.
Okay.
He's so good. So yeah,
Wow.
that was fun.
Speaking of loud reactions, were the boos for Taylor Swift as loud as they sounded?
Yeah, that fucking pissed me off.
Yeah.
The Eagles fans.
Yeah.
were
I was going to
horrendous.
ask how
They
your
were all around
experience
us.
was. Yeah.
They were horrendous. They were honestly worse than the Arizona Super Bowl. The Arizona Super Bowl was pretty rough. And we were surrounded by Eagles fans. This time we had some Chiefs fans around us too, but something about this year, they were just extra aggressive and extra. The thing that pissed me off, they booed our cheerleaders.
Yeah. They just
like what the
booing
fuck?
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I also realized. I'm like, because it is something when you're at the Super Bowl and the other team, like last year, the 49ers, there were a fuck ton of 49ers fans.
Yeah.
They kind of booed, but like you could tell they overpowered us. There were a lot of Eagles fans there, but it's the fact that they were just so aggressive with booing, and we don't boo. So it just makes us sound even worse because like we try and cheer for KC, but their boos are so insane and so loud that then also their cheers sound 10 times louder too because we're not booing because we're nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just really kind of, I get it, whatever, sports are sports, but
sports, man.
certain things that they booed, like Taylor, fuck off. But also especially just like our cheerleaders.
Yeah. What do they do to you?
Off. Why are you booing them for just trying to do, like, they're doing their job and they're celebrating their team, like they're representing their team. Like, don't fucking do that.
Right.
And that made me so mad. And then also, obviously, the game was in their favor and they were not very nice.
Yeah.
So we actually left early.
Yeah.
Just a couple minutes when we knew it wasn't going well. Because honestly, it was a little scary. I was like, I don't want to be around Philly fans when they win.
When they're celebrating.
I honestly I was afraid to be around them if they lost.
Yeah, the videos that I saw of them in the streets, I think it was actually in Philly, though.
In Philly, yeah.
Yeah, but like just like burning Chiefs flags and jerseys and all of that.
Everyone, I think one of the comedians the night before said, and this is really bad because I'm pretty sure when they won the championship, they went to the streets and celebrated, obviously, and I think like a couple people died.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And one of the comedians was like, if Philly wins, there will be a few deaths. If Philly loses, there will be an incredible amount of deaths because they're just so aggressive.
Yeah.
That I'm kind of like, honestly,
I can't do it.
We were like, we can't go to Bourbon at all, regardless of the outcome, because I'm scared.
Yeah.
They're just not, they're all weekend. They weren't very kind.
Yeah.
There are some, not saying the whole fandom is mean. They're just pretty aggressive.
But it's the reputation of that fandom and other fandoms, but especially Philly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough. It was a tough ending, but I'm proud of Holt.
Yeah.
I'm proud of, it was a good season. It was a fun season.
And you get your boyfriend back.
And I get my boyfriend back. So yeah.
Good.
That was my Super Bowl recap.
I love it.
I wish we were having a happier conversation.
I know. I'm like, the good news is this is going to come out 2 weeks after the Super Bowl.
So we'll have some space.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have some time.
Exactly. By the time you listen to it back, you'll accept it at that point. But yeah, we hosted a little watch party. It was fun.
Nice.
I honestly didn't watch much of the game, I will say.
I'll be honest.
I was just talking to people.
I was kind of, I turned my phone off, but after halftime, because like at half, you're like, okay, we've come back from further deficits.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, we've come back from heavy deficits.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is ugly, but like we're going to get a swift kick in the ass and we're going to come back and at least put up a fight.
Yeah.
And I think the first 4 minutes into the third quarter, we completely gave up. I mean, them kind of, but
even
like us.
When they showed our team on the sidelines, everybody is just like heads down.
Yeah.
Like they're not even trying to get amped up, it seemed. They just were like, you know what? We're done.
No, I never felt at one point did the energy somewhat come up at all. It just was down and just kept going down. Oof. And it was just the worst feeling. I don't know how many friends I texted that I was like, I am literally miserable. This is
I know.
horrendous.
I was thinking of you the whole time. I was like, I'm not going to talk to her about it because we'll talk about it on Tuesday.
I never want to experience that again. Oh. It was just so sad. And it just, I feel bad for Holt. I feel bad for the team, both players, staff, everyone. I mean, you pour your heart and soul into a season and you go through it and you're with them and watching them all season. So to see it end that way, it's just heartbreaking. And I know, like, we know we're better than that.
Yeah,
we know we could have played a better game than that. And it just sucks. It wasn't our day.
It wasn't.
We got outplayed, and that is what it is. It just is such a sad feeling when it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially to such a great season.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and especially on we've been on great highs of great seasons. Yeah. And so it was just like riding that high and then shit. The bottom of the lows was tough. But, that's okay.
Yeah. You made it through.
Move on. Yeah.
You're back.
We're back.
You're in your safe space. There's no Philly fans here.
I'm finally home. I'm in my bed.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I'm happy to be home and, we'll move on and have a good off season.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have much to recap on my end. I'm not going to lie.
Well, don't worry. I covered it for both of us.
Exactly. I was like, that was really all I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But today we have a great guest.
We do.
I called her Agri.
You had such a great intro. You were going and I'm like, shit. Damn, this is good.
I thought about it on the car ride over, and I was all excited about it.
You had it so prepared. It was so good.
Thank you.
I still think it was great. I even agree. I think it was great.
Everybody will hear it. So it's coming up shortly.
It's coming up. But
Anyway, it's Adri Guyer is our
Someone
guest today.
we have both loved for a long time,
Yes.
admired, looked up to.
Yes.
It was fun to just sit down with her and talk about the opposite of the wedding industry a little bit, getting
Right.
out of it,
Right.
the opposite of weddings and getting married. It was a cool conversation that like things we've kind of known the surface of,
Yeah.
that we really got to know even more.
I know. And she's just, we love her.
I know.
I just love her so much.
She brought us gifts.
She made us bread. Well, she made bread for herself and brought us like a few slices. So she didn't make us a whole loaf.
It
It's
was
fine.
fantastic, by the way, if you were wondering.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it
She
was.
even brought flaky sea salt in a jar.
Dude. And then she took us around in the Rivian because it's my dream to have a Rivian.
Yes.
Yeah. It was phenomenal.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
So without further ado,
Here's just kidding. Here's Adri.
All right. Today's guest has been mentioned multiple times on the podcast. Not one, not two, not three. Pretty much every episode that we have.
every episode.
You will hear this name. She is a multifaceted photographer, the best in the biz. My wedding photographer. Grace is Meryl Streep.
It's true. It
And
is true.
she's here in the flesh. It's Agri. Oh my God. Agri. I did such a good job.
At least you didn't call me Audrey.
No, never. Not Adrienne. Never. I combined Adri and Guyer together. It's Agri. Trademark it.
Changing my name.
It's Adri Guyer.
Sorry, these koozies are worthless now.
You have to change all of her branding.
Is that a first?
That is a first.
And edit that out. Adri Guyer.
Adri.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
So
coming
happy
here.
to have you here.
Yes.
We've been saying this for months. But honestly, since we started the podcast,
From
we talked.
conception.
Yeah.
You were always like, ooh, Adri this. Ooh, Adri that.
You know, we're obsessed with you.
Yes.
It's a mutual feeling.
I was going to say,
Thank
is
you.
it obvious?
Yeah.
I think
But I'm
Meredith
not
is too.
upset about it.
You're like, feed my ego.
Go for it.
Feed my ego.
I told you, I'm going to put the sticker on the back of my phone.
I believe you.
I'm really going to do it. I need to get a new pop socket anyway, so I'll just stick it right on there.
And then people can ask and you can be like, well, let me tell you.
well, let me tell you who Adri is. It's not me. But let me tell you all about her.
And listen back to episode, what is this? Doesn't matter.
Great question.
Listen to her
that
episode.
episode.
Yeah, that episode,
that
the
episode.
Adri
Exactly.
episode.
Yeah.
But she was so sweet, brought us all kinds of goodies. I didn't even bring
She
the
has
stickers,
stickers
in
with her
here.
face on it. She has koozies with her face on it. She is the queen of branding.
She is just the queen.
Leave a permanent impression. Did you trademark that?
No, but I probably should.
When did
now on.
the branding get done? Not too long ago, right?
It was about a year ago.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just about a year.
It's all kind of a blur, I feel.
2024, don't know her.
Yeah, that's. I was gonna say that's one of my questions for you, which we can get into it later. But I'm like, how are you taking care of yourself?
I'm doing a lot better
you?
now than I was when I was in Wedding World.
Yeah, right.
That's
okay.
that's the big one.
But
You're about to answer all 50 questions we have at once.
Yes.
But before we get into that,
Yes.
we like to start with giving a little backstory on how you met me and how you met Grace from your perspective.
Absolutely. So I met Sarah because she reached out for me to photograph her wedding, which was fantastic. Love that. I just adored shooting your wedding, and it was so fun, and I just love you guys so much. Actually, something that Meredith did not mention, because Meredith also met you at your wedding.
Yeah.
Which she did say, I reached out saying, you're going to love them. They have
Sexual
sexual
chemistry.
So true.
I've never heard that before, but when it came out of Meredith's mouth, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, nice.
To a
Yeah.
T. Yes.
No, because like in our jobs, we definitely see people that like really love each other or like really into each other. And your engagement session, I left and I was like, oh shit. Absolutely.
Fire
you
flame.
guys.
Fire flame.
Yes, absolutely. So that was phenomenal. And then Grace, how did we meet?
Can I say? I
Yes.
think I was there.
I think you might have been. Was it at the awards?
It was at the venue that we used to work at.
Yep.
Oh, it was?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. You ambushed me.
So this is
now
why
I know. She told me earlier. She's like, I have something to say about when you met Adrian, but I'm not going to tell you until we're talking about it. I was like, okay.
Oh, tell me everything.
Because I remember, because Grace, like, she was a little bitty baby in the wedding industry.
Little fetus.
I remember now.
Yes, and you were there. I think it was a wedding.
I think you were working a wedding.
Yeah. And so I was talking to you, obviously,
Yeah.
and then Grace was like, panicking.
I was like, is that it? That's Adri. Are you talking to Adri?
And so I went up to you and I was like, okay, so Grace Chappell's here. She loves you, really admires you and your work. You should say hi to her, but like, don't scare her. And now it's so funny because you tell everybody else who meets her, like, be nice to her. Don't scare her.
She's like, I know how she is. I just need to tell everyone, just be gentle.
Yeah. So I think you guys, I think maybe you probably approached her, I would
think so.
guess.
You came up to me by the bar and you were like, hey, how's it going? I was like, hi. Meeting my hero. I'm like, my name's Grace. Hi. I think that was like all that came out of my mouth. I was so, because you told me, you were like, I told her to come up and say hi to you. I was like, why would you do that? Don't do that. I'm not ready for that. And then you just came over so cool. You had your cameras on and you were just like, hey, how are you? How's it going? I'm Adri. I was like, I know. I know. It's great to meet you.
I'm obsessed with you.
I don't love you or anything. It's fine. So yeah, that was our first interaction.
Okay, perfect. I love that.
I love it. I still think about it to this day.
I feel like I had known you just because of the internet.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't remember like exactly the first time we met in
Yeah.
person.
That was
I
it.
love
You're
that.
welcome.
No, I guess ambushing people is on brand for me too.
Okay, that was really, Meredith bringing that up was really funny.
Okay, in all fairness, it wasn't as much of an ambush as I had been very politely suggesting that she raises her prices, and then she wouldn't listen to me. So I was like,
It had to turn into that.
and yeah, she forced the hand.
Yeah. She left that
The
part
truth
out.
comes out. The truth comes out. Good thing your episode was after.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Sorry, Meredith.
We have some corrections.
Yeah. Actually, there's multiple things I need to address for that episode.
We said no fact checking, but we will be fact checking your whole episode.
That was
this
before
episode.
Adri came in. So.
Yeah. It's got to happen. Man.
Oh, I
well,
love
yeah.
it.
So we all basically met yet again through your own wedding and the wedding industry.
And I will say, I think I've told you this before, but you are the reason why I'm even in the wedding industry.
Really?
Yeah. You were my first vendor I ever met with outside of the venue. And I just loved you so much. And you were the only photographer I met with because you narrow it down beforehand. It's like, okay, these are like my top. And you were the only one that I actually scheduled a meeting with and met. And it was during COVID. So we had our masks on. So we couldn't even like really, get to know one another as best as one can at that point in time. But yeah, I was just like, she's so cool. Like, look at her studio. Like, I want to be like her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
I love you. Oh my God.
No, seriously. So even though you are no longer in the wedding industry, you still open that door for me not even from a photography perspective, just from being the person that you are.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
I kind of forget that you're not in the wedding industry anymore.
Yeah.
Should we just hit on
people
that?
do.
Should we just hit on that
Absolutely.
right now?
We
Let's
should
talk
just get
about
on
it
that.
because you were in the industry for how long?
It was 8 years. So
Woof.
yeah, I started just like holding light stands and assisting in 2015. The first person who ever let me hold a light stand was Morgan Miller, and I just love and appreciate that because I did cold call emails, basically just like, hey, I'm starting out, here's my portfolio, if I could get you a cup of coffee, hold a light stand, whatever you need to do. I in 2013 on my tax return, I made $13,000. Like, I was poor and broke and in the service industry.
Oh my gosh.
And I was working at the original Thou Mayest. I was a barista slash bartender.
Oh my God.
And I managed that for 4 years as I was trying to get my business off the ground. And so I was there from 2014 until the day it closed on Christmas Eve of 2018. Wow. And I started, like, basically right when I got there, I was like, okay, I want this to be my last, like, food, beverage, service industry job. So we're going to figure something out. And I kind of found my way doing that. And that client base there, like the customer base that came into that Mayest, is still my main client base currently,
That's
which is
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
Those regulars were just like, yeah, you're doing this, let's support it.
Those are the coolest
Relationships,
people.
I know.
The best people to meet are in a coffee shop.
100%.
Best people.
I never even thought I would get into weddings at all, which is a very funny thing looking back and saying that now. Like, I was fully intent on doing just like products, not even people at all. And clearly that's not where we ended up. But at Thou Mayest, I met so many people. I've met my still current biggest client, and probably most importantly is my mentor, who's Rita Clark. She runs Heirloom Photo Company.
I didn't know that's how you guys met. Oh.
She said that I made the best chai in town. So
And here you are, however many years later.
exactly. I saw her meeting with clients, and so I was like, hey, what do you do? And I was like, okay, great. So she ended up hiring me to just like assist and kind of took me under her wing completely. So the first wedding I ever second shot was with her in the spring of 2016.
Wow.
And
almost 10 years ago.
I know.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Wow. So she took me under her wing. She even had me come over to her house, and she's like, all right, show me how you work the camera. Show me how you use a flash. Like, let me help you get better and better at this. And so
That's so nice, but so intimidating.
Oh, 100%.
You're like, okay.
And she's such a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She also taught me everything, like so much about editing in Lightroom. And so the way I came into Wedding World was I just worked with everybody I could, which was both great and terrible.
Yes.
Because you saw like the whole spectrum of different sorts of clientele and venues. And I learned so much doing that. Like, especially Jessica Rourke with Ipega. I learned so much from her because she's doing a lot of high-end weddings. And so that got me into that world, which was much different than what I had like been seeing for my own self.
Right.
And so it was really cool to see just the entire spectrum of like what weddings can be.
Right.
And so I have many stories I could tell from like great to terrible.
Oh, we're going to ask all of them.
You've got a mic in your hand.
We're here to know about every single one of them.
Totally. Well, the most memorable one for me was a 10-hour second shooting day in Topeka. So I drove to Topeka. I think it's the Brownstone.
Yep.
That's over
I
there.
was like, no idea.
Sarah's never been to Topeka yet, clearly.
Only to the capital.
And I witnessed a 16-year-old kid, it was the brother of the groom, get drunk for his very first time and throw up everywhere.
No.
And it was
my
like,
worst nightmare.
Early fall of 2016, and he was wearing Trump socks, and he just kept screaming, Trump! No! And I was like,
You cannot make that up.
no, it was
Oh,
terrible.
God, that's horrible.
And then that was the last time you went to Topeka?
Absolutely. And then I came back, and the primary photographer, she actually like outsourced both lead and second shooting that day. She's like, I added a little bit extra for you for the drive. And I was like, okay, great, thanks. Opened up the envelope, and she had already driven off. It was $250. I was like,
That was extra?
That's so insulting.
Yeah, you're like, do you know what I just went through?
Do you know everything I had to endure today?
10-hour shoot day, 2-hour round trip drive.
And $250. That hurts.
Yeah.
That really
we've
hurts.
come a long way.
Yeah.
Come a very long way.
And this is why you make people raise their prices, because you started there.
Oh, yeah. It all came from a place of, oh, we deserve better than this.
Yes.
I'm also like, what would it have been before she added a little extra? I'm afraid to know. Like, what was the extra?
$10.
I don't want to know. Yeah, I don't want to know.
Yeah, great question.
Oh man, yeah, that's a tough one, because especially on those days too, like you can't say anything.
You're just
No.
there.
You're like, all right, cool. I just got to sit here and
Yep.
witness this.
It's not my company
Nice.
that I'm representing. Like, if
Yeah.
it was for me, I would say something.
Yeah.
But if it's for someone else and I'm representing them, and it's just like, oh,
Not my place.
Shit. All right, cool.
I hate when it's not my circus nor my monkeys.
That's the worst. Dang. Okay, so you said that was 2016.
That was 2016. So yeah, I got into that in 2017. Someone approached me asking to become business partners. And so we did that for a couple of years until it became pretty clear that she no longer wanted to be business partners. And she had to let me know that herself. That wasn't for me to say. And so ended up buying her out of the business. And then COVID happened, and it was just like so many things back to back that.
So that was right before COVID?
I think it was during.
What a time.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was in 2020.
How's your soul? Is it recovering?
How are you healing?
It's better now.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an expensive life lesson. That's for sure.
How, I mean, with however much you want to share about it, like what did you take away from that? Because that's a huge. So, okay, first of all, back up for me first. So starting kind of in 2016, assisting, like getting your feet wet. When did you like realize like, oh, this is happening? Like it is kind of taking off. Like this is
What I want to do.
This is what I want. Yeah.
Pretty immediately, actually. Like I just dove headfirst into the deep end.
Yeah.
I think the first year I was second shooting so much that I shot over 50 weddings my first year.
In the first year? God
I was
bless
doing
you.
doubles every weekend. And I was in my younger 20s. Like, I had the
Still,
energy to do that.
There's
That's
how many
still a
weeks
lot.
in a year, and you were doing how many weddings?
Oh yeah, I was doing a lot because
Holy crap.
as we established, I was broke. So
Right, you
I was
had
just
to,
like, oh
yeah.
my god, I love making money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It is kind of
Yeah.
addicting. You're like, oh shit, I can get paid for this.
Yeah.
And like, not every wedding, like there's some great weddings, there's some not as great weddings. So when there are the ones that are so great, so fun, you're like, why would I not do this?
Totally.
Why would I stop doing this?
yeah.
Especially when you're also like, and I'm making money.
100%.
It can be very, very addicting. But did you get to a sense of like burnout
Oh, absolutely.
in that first year?
Not in that
Or
first
did it come
year.
after?
It didn't come until 2021.
Yeah.
Really during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I guess ongoing, but
Yeah.
Still current.
The height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just experienced a lot of people losing their minds and like moms of couples who hated each other and people just being really not happy. Like they're spending all of this time and money and they're not even enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where for a lot of weddings, I realized like I was the splurge. I was the most expensive vendor and I almost started feeling guilty
Right.
to an extent of like, first of all, that's an honor, but also like you could have gone with someone a little bit cheaper and you could have done a lot more with decor. Because right now, like, I don't have anything to photograph,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So there's so many factors.
Yeah.
Several rounds of friendship breakups because I was never available to hang out on the weekends, and that's when other people have free time.
Right.
My body hurt a lot.
Yeah.
My cameras that I wear, I'm in physical therapy still.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it adds 15 pounds sitting directly on your traps.
Right.
For 12 hours at a time.
And how many days and weeks and months of a year and
Exactly.
years when they add up,
Totally.
that wear and tear on your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it finally, like the life hangover after a wedding where I had not consumed a single drop of alcohol. And I
Right.
just felt fully hungover.
Yes. It's the wedding hangover.
100%.
It's the non-guest, it's the wedding vendor hangover.
Because I feel it so hard too. And I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about you with all that equipment on top of that, because I'm not even dealing with any of that. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's, you got to lift weights, you got to stretch, you got to go to physical therapy, you got to like really take care of yourself. And
Right.
so,
It's training season.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that combined with, I kind of reached the point where, especially after doing this buyout and saying like, yes, I want to still do this, I kind of realized like I'm living other people's lives every single week.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have a lot of close friends. And I was just like, I have already lived a million lives. I want to be brave enough to walk away and find a different path.
Right.
Even though weddings were comfortable, it was, I wouldn't say easy. Like there's definitely, but I was like in a groove.
Right.
I-
Right.
And
things were going well.
Things were going well.
Yeah.
I won
Photographer of the
yeah,
year.
like
Yeah.
I was doing great things, but I also just knew like
You weren't taking care of yourself.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't happy inside, and so I was like, I can always come back if I want to.
Right.
But I want to be brave enough to walk away,
Dude,
even when
that's-
it's comfortable.
Literally
so
chills.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to have this conversation with you too, because like you just said, like, she's the reason she wanted to get into the industry. You're someone I've admired from afar for so long for so many reasons, but especially like I started to get to know you within the industry. So when you announced that you were leaving, I was kind of like, oh shit. Oh shit.
Mic drop.
What, why, how, all the things. And I know there's so much with your past too. I mean, with a business partner, with starting out, and like you said, things are going so well. Yeah. And then you were like, yeah, but it's going so well, but I don't feel good. I don't like it. I'm not necessarily happy.
Because I also, the entire time, still kept my own business. So I kept Adri Guyer Photographer the entire time.
Right.
And I have always been doing branding, headshots, events that are outside of weddings. And I started doing so much during the week and then also doing weddings that I just didn't have any time ever.
That's like 2 jobs in one, honestly.
It is.
Yeah.
And especially, as we all know, especially 2021, 2022, doing 2 years worth of work really condensed down.
Yeah.
With all of that on top, I was just like, something has to give.
Yeah. And that was kind of your moment where you're like, all right, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It wasn't a decision I took lightly. Obviously, I took a lot of time to consider it, and there's just so many. There's even more reasons I'm thinking of now. It's just like there's so many factors that play into it. It's not just a like, yep, I'm done.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that wasn't a night and day like, oh, I think I'm just going to be done tomorrow. Like I can't imagine your thought process going into that, because especially like, at least speaking from like myself, like I feel like I've found so much like purpose and belonging within my work and like how it got started within weddings that it's always kind of one of those things where we're like, so what would you do instead? You're like, fuck, don't ask me that. I haven't thought about it.
It's been almost this really fascinating external identity crisis because people can't imagine what you do when you don't shoot weddings anymore. They're like, so how's weddings? I'm like, I don't do that anymore. They're like, well, what do you do? Like
Nothing.
And they didn't even understand weddings in the first place. If they're outside of the industry, they didn't even get that. So then trying to explain something outside of that on top of it that they truly can't comprehend.
There are many subgenres of photography.
This isn't just the one.
Need photographed. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dang.
Well, and just how far out you had to, plan that, because we had to plan our life so far in advance in the industry. So you're like, okay, I've already committed. I have contracts for these dates. Yes. I'm assuming completed all of those. And then you're like, okay, I'm at a point where I'm ready to just stop taking those lead calls.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that when you tell the universe, like, okay, energetically, I'm done, it always tests you to ask, like, are you sure?
Okay, but what about this? Are you really sure?
And my final one... it was at a venue where there were like uneven brick floors, and one of my light stands fell onto a table and broke all of the glass there. And I texted.
You were like, okay.
I was like, okay, message received.
Yep, got it. Done. I hope that was a good sense of like closure though, that you're like, yeah.
And fortunately, it was with a really great friend. It was with Brienne. And she was just like, dude, it's fine. We have extras.
That is good though that you had a good safe person with you that.
And I texted Mackenzie because it was Supply doing the rentals, and I was like, hey, if this is broken, it's my fault.
I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Please just just want to let you know.
Took ownership of it all, but it was just like, okay, message received.
Yep,
going out with a bang.
Literally, got it. Going back to like the partnership, so you went into it kind of ready to go, really excited. It kind of took off. Where did it come to you that like the partnership was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to partner with someone rather than like just and only my business, because you still had both. But where did it come from that you were like, I think a partnership would be good?
So my former business partner actually approached me wanting to be partners because we had shot together quite a bit in my tour day second shooting. And it made a lot of sense. I texted a lot of people in town, make sure like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Kind of vetted the whole thing and kind of decided, okay, this would be a lot easier if we could divide and conquer.
Right.
Because I don't know how many people are aware, but taking photos is easy. All you do is press a button.
That's going to be on there.
That's it.
And that's all.
Yeah, that's all you do.
That's all it is.
It's just like an iPhone.
Yeah, but which
it's just easy.
So especially like the back end, running social media, making sure everyone's on top of emails, contracts, invoices, taxes, all of the things. Much easier when it's more than one person.
When you have double eyes, double brains. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and then also like at that time, like you said, it was in height, like kind of COVID time, where it's like there are a plethora of weddings and work out there that it's like, why wouldn't we do this?
And this was 2017, so this is
that was right after.
That was right after.
Oh,
like I said, I drove head first.
Damn, you really did.
Yeah.
And was the business already? Did you guys both start it together from the ground up, or was it okay?
So we just combined the wedding side of our businesses and left everything to our individual businesses, which was a smart move. And we used, a lawyer to make sure that we had a business partnership agreement and everything was clear and legally sound, and did all of that and worked for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So started out, really dove in head first. Didn't really feel the burnout until you said like kind of like COVID-ish time. As far as like weddings go, you said like I can feel it in my body, physically, mentally, like it's time. Did you know what you wanted to go into, or
the branding side of my business separate from Black Coffee? So I really appreciated having weddings being one thing and my branding being another, because it was really easy to just keep ramping that up.
Right.
And so, like I said, my biggest client is a construction company.
Yeah.
And I met them, again, working at Original Dalmaist. The person who runs the marketing team happened to know my manager there.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I think the two of you would get along really well.
Yeah.
And we do, because it's year 7 working with them.
That's
and that's just been
awesome.
consistent business for you throughout it all.
Yeah, and I love going out on job sites. I love the grit and being sweaty and like dirty. I think it's really fun. I think there's so many things that are on a spectrum, and I think there's one thing that's fairly black and white. You either love working or you don't.
That's so true.
Yeah, and
That's so true. That it comes down to something as simple as that.
it really is. And so, especially because they're an ESOP, so they get stock in the company. The longer they're there, most of these will retire as multimillionaires. And so the work is hard, but it pays off. And seeing, it took a couple of years, truly, to like get them comfortable with me.
I can't
and trust
imagine
the
how
process.
hard that would be with these construction guys that are, and I'm totally just being like stereotypical of them just being like, no, don't look at me, don't talk
No
to me.
photos.
I'm not, nope, yeah.
It's a stereotype because it was true.
Right.
But I have earned their trust and
Yes.
their respect.
Yes.
And so now it's so fun. I'll be out on site and these guys will come up to me and like, okay, this photo that you took of me at whatever job site is my profile photo now. And it's so
Yes,
cool.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the marketing team has grown so much
Yeah.
from when I first started. And it's been so cool to see like the materials they're putting out, because they're using my photos for everything. But one of the coolest things is in 22 or 23, they had their big annual meeting and they printed my photos so largely, like on giant banners.
There's nothing better than that.
And it was so cool to see, first of all, just for myself.
Yeah.
But then seeing people seeing how much they loved it of themselves and taking pictures of that. Like standing there like so proud of
Yeah.
like,
You're like,
look at what I do.
Yeah.
And it's heavy civil. It's infrastructure that all of us use every single day and don't really think about until
No.
it's like, oh, it's winter and there's potholes everywhere. Fix
Right.
this.
Right.
And so that's been a really fun thing. So that,
7 years.
yeah.
That is awesome.
So they have me on retainer, and that's been just such an amazing thing because then I know my baseline, and
Right.
then everything else is just a bonus on top.
Right.
And I like hustling, so it's been really
Yeah.
fun.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly. We've established that.
Yes. I'm in the I like working camp.
Yeah, I am on that side.
That is where, yeah, that is the side of the line I'm on.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. So then just doing that,
Yeah.
having the steady income there, and then you already were still doing branding, all of that. So just really amping that up.
Yep.
Did you have, I don't know how I want to word this question. Did you start ramping that side up before officially leaving because you kind of knew like in your gut that this is something that may happen, or was it really just at the same time?
It was kind of at the same time, and honestly, a lot of it just kept finding me.
Right.
It wasn't something I necessarily was pursuing. It was just like, oh, hey, can you come shoot this corporate event? Can you do headshots for this company?
Right.
And so it just started organically building on its own. And then I was like, great, I have enough income that I can do this.
Right.
Great.
When you like set them next to each other, branding and weddings, like well, I guess what I'm trying to say is
We're
like,
so good at asking questions.
I'll get to the question one day. I
believe in you.
promise. I guess putting them next to each other, is there anything you miss about weddings that you like don't get with branding?
So I feel like weddings are almost like a little bit of a formula. There's definitely a pattern that you follow. It's not always the same, but like
Right.
there's a general like, okay, the day's beginning.
Right.
We're doing photos. Ceremony could be flopped.
Yeah.
I prefer doing a first look.
Yes.
As I think everyone does.
As you
in the
should.
industry.
As you
Yes,
should.
Please.
You heard it here.
There's one time I actually had to convince someone to do a first look. They were so set on not doing it, but it was not cute overcast. It was like 99% cloud cover, and it was going to be pitch black after their ceremony
Yeah.
if we waited. I was like, there's no
So it was a
sunset.
day of decision.
It was, and I
How
was
did
like,
you approach that conversation?
ooh, it was... It
Gives
was,
me anxiety.
Yeah, I know, literally.
No, it was tough because I knew how set they were on it, and I was like, I understand and respect this. Professional opinion here. If you want photos of the two of you together on this day, we are going to have to see each other first.
How did they were they receptive to it?
They had to think about it.
Yeah.
And I understand that.
Right.
Because like, I'm not someone, this is a very funny thing too. We haven't even covered this at all. I got into weddings not ever wanting a wedding for myself. Like,
Right.
I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids.
Yep.
That's been something I established like after deconstructing my religious trauma and
Yes.
in therapy, figuring out like, okay, what do I want in life? And that's like never, so falling into wedding world was kind of funny just because I was like, this isn't something I would ever do for myself.
Right.
But I love being a part of people's lives.
Right.
And so it was just kind of that funny dynamic there. But
Yeah.
I never dreamed of a day, and a lot of people do. And I
Right.
want to respect that.
But you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's
And
that
so-
like? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, I know this is not what you pictured, but if you want photos together, it's gonna have to be now.
Right.
And I'm so sorry. I know that's not what you've expected,
Yeah.
but I want to deliver what you hired me for.
Right. Which, like, you can't be faulted for that. I think within all of our jobs, it's very hard because you're dealing with so many emotions, so many heightened feelings being at a wedding. And it is hard because you're
many
like,
different
I
personalities.
Have, I have
Absolutely.
control over this day. Like, I'm the one in charge, but also I have no control whatsoever.
Yeah.
So having to have like those conversations or facilitate them and even bring them up is very anxiety inducing and also just a lot. Because I feel like I know your personality somewhat. Is that something you've always felt comfortable with, just being like, hey, kind of black and white, this is what it is? Or did you kind of have to work your way up to like, no, I know what I'm doing. I have the experience to show. And in this case, like, I'm telling you right now, I can't do my job unless we do this.
It was the second, for sure.
Kind of worked
Yeah.
up that way. Yeah.
One thing about me is I am a yapper and I have lots of opinions. So a big part of my adult life has been learning to channel that into productive ways of communication.
Yes.
Rather than just being like, why would you do that?
Right.
'Cause that's my default.
Right.
See,
And
to
that's
me,
tough.
you're just you just exude like confidence. So I feel like you're always one, like, not in an aggressive way. You're a very like gentle, like, hey, I support you. I'm here for you. Like, just want to let you know this, and this, and this, because this is what's going to be best for you.
Because I'm fueled by a rage fire.
And
just
there it
burns
is.
right here all the time. And I
makes sense.
just want to yell, but I tone it down.
It
I've
comes
learned.
out, the filter's like right here, and it comes out a little more gentle, more soft.
I get better and better at it every year.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any, especially with weddings, because again, you kind of have to tiptoe around some things and some people, were there any ones that really tested you?
Oh, absolutely.
And
There
you care to share?
Yes. There was a wedding that I photographed. I can't even remember which year this was. I think it was 21 or 22. Doesn't matter.
It was Sarah Downing's.
No.
And after her wedding, I knew I was done.
One thing, oh my God, this is completely separate. Meredith did not mention that at your wedding, after your father-daughter dance, we both stepped out onto the porch just sobbing because it was so beautiful.
No, I'm gonna
Because Meredith's dad passed away.
Right.
And that was really traumatic and sad. And I actually shot a wedding for her the weekend that he was put in hospice care. Like, it was a really hard time.
Yeah.
And my dad sucks.
Dang it!
I know. It's he lost privileges to speak to me in 2016 with the election, and I was in therapy at the time, fortunately, and so we were working through ways of communication and setting better boundaries. And so I did give him an attempt to like reconnect and reestablish that relationship. And the last time I spoke to him in person was Christmas Eve of that year, because I was, again, trying to reestablish that relationship with healthy boundaries. And it was Christmas Eve, and I already like was there, and he came up to me. He's like, it would actually be really awkward if you showed up tomorrow because nobody got you any gifts.
I saw you post that.
Oh my gosh.
And so what I did is just left the gifts I got them under the tree and left, and that was the last time I spoke to them. So we both had some
trauma.
trauma around dads, and seeing how close you and your dad are and how much you love each other. We both just stood out there and like,
I need a minute.
yeah, we had to collect ourselves. What was the question?
I will say I have so much I want to
Well, I
talk
was
to you
gonna say, I
about.
feel like we have better questions
parental
to come from
trauma.
that, yes.
So many things I've always wanted to talk to you about, which we don't need to talk about on here. But I love that so much. I was gonna ask something.
Situations that have been difficult on the wedding days, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I was gonna. Yeah.
Okay, so we're picking up right there.
Here we go. We're back.
Strapped in, ready to go.
There was a wedding that I photographed where it was, like I mentioned before, two moms that hated each other and they made it their problem. And the catering staff treated us like the help in like the worst way when we asked for a vendor meal. And
I just want to eat.
literally. And
That's literally in my contract. You have to feed me.
and I knew
Also
that
human.
it was right when the R5s and R6s came out, like right when the mirrorless came out, and I bought one of each to see like which one worked best. And I preferred the R5 because it has a top display.
Yep, agreed.
And
Same.
Sarah's no idea what we're talking
I
about.
totally know what that means.
Again, the Nimbus 3000.
That's exactly what runs through her head.
Exactly. And so one of the first issues the R5s had was a loose hot shoe. So where the flash connects.
Thank you.
And it fell off during family photos. And I knew it had been loose. So I
the
already
worst
had a backup
time.
camera. I had one of my Mark IVs as a backup. And that broke in the middle of family photos. So I was just like, oh my God, this sucks. So
I would die. I would simply just fall over and be like, I'm done.
yeah. So like
It's over.
family photos happen. We get through the ceremony. Those two moms that hate each other look at each other right after and they go, I guess we're stuck together now.
Oh my God.
And I was just like,
And you're like, capture this moment, capture it.
yeah. And it's like, okay, I'll keep taking photos.
Keep smiling.
Yeah. And that was one I came home crying from. And not to do with the couple. The couple was
Right.
lovely.
Right.
But everyone around them was miserable. Yeah.
I feel like nowadays I do like it's less about like I have great relationships with my brides and grooms or my brides and brides, my grooms and my grooms. It's the people that they surround themselves with that sometimes they either this was choice and it's friendship or it's family that I'm like, holy smokes, they're the ones that are I don't know, like bringing the energy to your day and this is why the energy is this way. And you're always in like kind of fight or flight of like, I don't want you to have to deal with that. I don't want you to have to even know what's going on. I want to like protect you from that because I want you to have a good day. But then you're taking all of that on emotionally. And then you go home and you're like, fuck, that sucked.
Yeah.
That really
Right.
sucked.
And you never know what you're going to get until you're actually in it.
Yeah.
And then editing that, spending hours upon hours looking at all of these people that were just absolute assholes all day.
Yeah.
And trying to deliver something beautiful.
That
is
you're happy about,
energetically
yeah.
so hard.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I feel like that was a tough thing for me to learn too, because getting into the industry, I was just like, oh, I just love love. Like, I love weddings. Like, and I just thought every wedding would be like mine, you know?
Right.
And you really
if it was,
quickly,
I would never have left.
literally though.
Literally.
No, seriously.
Because I had amazing clients. Like,
Right.
there
Yeah.
are so many people that I vibed with, and it was just beautiful. And I was like, great, I want to keep following your life forever. Like, this is lovely.
Yeah.
And
That's not the case.
That's not always the case. And I wish it was. That'd be, how great would that be if it was?
Right.
I know. I feel like that was like a big like wake up call for me. Like, oh wait, there are many different personalities and dynamics.
Yes.
And
Some
family.
people just enjoy being mean.
Yeah, and that's just
Can't relate.
Yeah, seriously,
Can't relate.
Get away
it makes
from
me
me.
want to cry thinking about.
No, it literally.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you said it and because I'm curious, just as a photographer,
Yeah.
what was your least favorite part of a wedding day?
Ooh.
Because mine honestly is family photos.
Because I am loud
Yes.
and bossy.
You said I can
love
work that room.
I would print off multiple lists and hand a couple to like each member of the family and be like, all right, here, this is the order
find
we're
them.
doing them in. Like, make sure everyone's here and lined up.
I need to start doing that.
Oh, please take
I need to start doing that.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
I would show up with a clipboard and just like hand out papers. It's the best.
I love that.
Put 'em to work.
Absolutely. I was like,
Well,
all
it
right.
forces them to pay attention.
And they know who everybody is. We
Exactly.
don't.
I was like, I don't know any of these people. Line them up. 100%. I love that. And so I created a really quick way to do that. And that's something I got complimented on a lot was, okay, thank you for making that quick and painless.
Right.
Because as we all know, the faster we're done with this, the faster you get
can
to party.
drink.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that was my.
Oh, totally.
You said that, and every time I hear it, I'm like, ah.
My
Not that everyone is bad.
Totally.
It's just chaotic energy. It's just a lot.
My least favorite part of the day, which I think is a lot of people's favorite, was the getting ready. My favorite part was just like party at the reception.
Yep. Yep.
But my least favorite part was the like chaos before everything kicks off.
Yeah. It's not
And
the calm before the storm.
Oh,
it's
it
the
is not.
chaos
It's-
before the
yeah.
storm.
100%.
And again, just not knowing what you're going to walk into.
Absolutely. Because again,
Different dynamics.
dynamics are there, tensions are high.
Right.
There's so
Anxiety
much
is high,
that has
yeah.
gone into this. And people do not have a lot of chill on a wedding day.
No. When they do, it's great.
Oh, it's lovely when they do.
When they do, it's
Great day.
awesome. But when they don't, you have to bring the chill. That's where
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like whatever the room is, unless it's like great, perfect, you have to
You
be
are
the
a
counter.
vibe curator.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that,
I love that. We should put that.
Yes.
Vibe curator. You need that on a koozie.
Oh,
Even though you're not doing weddings, you're still a vibe curator.
Absolutely.
I love it. Add it to the rebrand.
Add it on there.
Just kidding. Don't change anything.
Oh,
Please,
it's under
please.
my new name.
Agree. The vibe curator.
Angry. No, it's just an egghead. I'm sorry.
Stop.
She's giving you all the ideas.
Anyways,
I did want to ask though, because I'm curious too, with you like leaving weddings in itself. I know we talk about like there's good and bad to like the wedding day in its entirety and like
Totally.
the people. As far as like the actual wedding industry, do you have good and bad to that too?
Oh, absolutely. There's so much that goes into creating a good wedding day, and your vendor team is one of the most important things you can put together. And so building vendor relationships is obviously huge.
Right.
That's probably the most important thing you can do as a vendor, besides
Right.
treat your clients really well, is just establish really good relationships with those vendors, because there are people that will be not on their A game. There will be
Yeah.
people that will be jealous of where you're at and they're not yet. And that's just part of it.
Yeah.
That is truly like that's showbiz, baby. that's
That's what I wanted to hear. Yes.
That's exactly it, because you are there to set the tone.
Yep.
And if you are working with people that can't get their shit together, it's really hard to manage that day going
Yeah,
well.
it's literally like out of your. I mean, it is out of your hands anyway. But like, then it's you literally can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And so
Just manage it.
something that I would always do going into weddings is just like emailing all the vendors ahead of time, like, hey, I'm so excited to work together. I would already have their gallery link ready to go of like, okay, this is where you will find these photos going into it,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people don't do until after. I would
yeah,
just,
I think you're like, I don't want to speak for it, but like
Oh,
I've
no,
never
yeah.
seen anybody do it the way that you do. And even just like the full timeline that you're sending out to everybody. Like, I guess, do the majority, when you were in weddings, did you have planners a lot of the time and you still just did that?
yeah. Because especially towards the end, the last couple of years, I made having a planner a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we would do this every single week in and out. We understand how timelines work.
Right.
Most people don't.
Nope.
It is their literal first rodeo.
Yep.
And so sending that out to both families, like making sure they have, I would also print off extra copies of the timeline and hand that to like the moms.
Yeah.
Or just anybody that seemed like the responsible person of the group.
That's gonna have questions or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, here's a printed timeline. So if people ask, you know when things are happening
Right.
and where.
Yeah.
And having those things in place of like just making sure the vendors knew who they were working with.
That's yeah.
Because sometimes, especially before I made a planner requirement a thing, a lot of us would be like, okay, I'm doing this, but I don't know who I'm working with.
Yeah. And then you show up and you're like, yay, or oh shit.
Yeah.
That sounds really bad, but
No, it's so
It's true.
Like anytime I saw Heather with Blue Thistle, anytime I saw Blue Thistle, I'd be like, yes!
I can't
Her cake
wait.
is so
I
good.
tell her that all the time. Like, I will not eat cake on a wedding day unless it's Blue Thistle. Sorry. Sorry to everybody else, but it's so
But that's
good.
just my opinion.
It's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. You are, and you're correct.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, also too, because you were in the industry for a while, you saw a lot of ebbs and flows, you saw a lot
absolutely.
of trends, you saw a lot of. Do you have any feelings or any hot takes about what you feel like the wedding industry has kind of become or what it
do.
is? I would love to hear
Yes.
them.
I think we're about to see this huge resurgence of micro weddings and backyard weddings because,
Yeah.
I mean, as I admit, I am fully part of the problem that created this wedding machine. Things have been just blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have 500 people. You don't need, you're not friends with all 12 of those bridesmaids. Like,
We talk about that all the time.
right? Like, I think we're going to see this very specific resurgence of just being so intentional about the time spent, the money spent.
Yeah.
Just what people are actually focusing on. And
Right.
I think that is so needed. And one thing that I can say now.
Oh, I love this.
She crossed her legs. She sat down. There was a shift in energy here.
So I've been very lucky that I was able to photograph a lot of weddings out of town. And one huge takeaway is that the venues in Kansas City are woefully behind the times. It's very gendered spaces, which is like ick. Please stop. Okay. Did you know that man cave doesn't photograph beautifully? Who knew?
These black walls and black ceiling and gross.
Yeah, it's just, it's also a lack of inclusivity because not every wedding is a straight wedding.
Right.
And that's a huge thing. I've always been a huge advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. As a queer person myself, I've known I was bi since my first kiss was a girl at the age of 12. Like, we've been knowing. And it's so frustrating to see the lack of accessibility, the lack of inclusivity, the lack of making beautiful, well-curated, well-designed spaces. Do you want to know how ugly canned lighting is? The worst. If I'm going to take Elon Musk down and I'm going to make inclusive spaces and I will outlaw canned lighting.
You heard it here.
Libraries will
She's
be funded.
doing it.
Yes.
Kids will not be in debt for school lunches. And canned lighting will not exist.
Yep, here we go. Just keep going. This is your moment. Anytime you need it. Like we said, it's always accessible. Just press the C.
I understand why everyone else was also as jarred doing this because I didn't expect it to play in the headphones. Yeah, that's amazing.
So anytime you want to do that, go for it.
Absolutely. So I just really think that venues have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
While they're charging out the ass for these spaces that like people can't even get ready in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have a getting ready room that only fits 2 people.
And you don't get access to it until noon.
Yeah, like how is that day supposed to function? Like
Right.
what people really want, especially if they're doing a venue going forward, is to be in one place all day.
Yes.
I really think that.
Yep, I agree.
Because the like party bus tour where people get wasted and can't even like stand up afterwards.
During the ceremony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another story to come back to. After that.
We're here for it.
Very early on, I had a groom that got cut off at his own wedding. It was rough. And that was
terrifying.
This is kind of awful to say, but it was energetically such an awful day that we set a timer. We like told Siri, like, hey, remind me in 3 years to check if they're still married. And they weren't.
No.
You did that too.
And
Siri set a timer.
It's my only non 5-star review I've ever gotten was
Yeah.
I could tell that they were fighting and they hated each other. And that was really sad. That was
There's-
really eye-opening.
There really is nothing worse than a wedding day where they
They did not like each
don't
other.
like each other. That hurts your soul a lot.
It's so sad to
That
see.
hurts a lot.
Yeah. And like I said, I've had amazing, amazing clients. And
Yes.
I never want people to think I took any of their days for granted. Because
Right.
Well, there's a reason you did
there's-
it for so long. There's a reason why it was hard to
100%.
leave, and it's because like there were so many amazing, incredible days and people to work
yeah.
with. That's why we keep doing it. But there are a few sometimes in there that you're like, this hurts.
Yeah. Like, girl, you good? Blink twice if you need help. I will get you out of here.
Yeah.
You can just climb into the back of my Subaru. I'll get you out of here.
She brought the Subaru.
Ready.
Oh man, no, it is really true.
It is.
Um,
We see a lot of like really beautiful things, and we also see some really heavy things.
that's what we talked to Meredith about. We were like, wedding days are great, but they're also like grieving.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, because it's bringing up happy memories, but it's also forcing so many sad or bittersweet moments on you too.
And that made me think one of the most beautiful but heartbreaking things I've ever seen in my life was a wedding I was photographing for a good friend. And I was second shooting for her. It was after we did a double header weekend. So it was a really long early morning Catholic ceremony, full day on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it was a much smaller wedding. And the groom's mom had a very severe case of early onset Alzheimer's. And she was like, she didn't really know where she was. And she was just like kind of quiet and kept to herself. And then Fernando was the DJ. I love Fernando. He played Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love. And this woman
sparked a memory.
Remembered who her ex-husband was and danced with him. And like, everyone was just sobbing. And I went and hid in a corner and just cried and ate a piece of cake. And there's a picture of that happening with like tears streaming down my face, holding this cake. I'm like, why? This is so cruel, but it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Those moments, like,
And it will stick with me forever.
oh yeah. And I don't feel like I'm like, why do I get to witness this? Why am I getting to see this? Why am I getting to be part of such a
that
beautiful
imposter
and
syndrome outta
heartbreaking
here,
thing? Yeah,
girly.
I know. Well, no, it's not that. It's just like, why am I getting to be a part of something that someone is going to remember for the rest of their life? Like, this is such a personal thing for that bride, for that groom, for that family. And I feel like I feel
An
very
intruder
lucky to be a
watching it.
part
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is an honor to be able to deliver the emotion of that moment.
Yeah.
And they get to keep that forever.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I had one of my really good friends from college. She got married. They got married 2-3 years ago now. Holy smokes! Her mom had the same not disease, but whatever. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. That Bruce Willis has.
Oh yeah.
And she
Dementia? Is he dementia or is he Parkinson's?
It's a form of dementia. It's
Has
like
to do
a
with
really
memory.
aggressive form of dementia. And I thankfully knew her, had a relationship prior with her, and to her wedding day. And her mom showed up, and it was the most beautiful thing. Elijah, the groom, wrote a letter to her and read it to her with Lexi, the bride. With them next to her, and just like getting to watch them interact, getting to watch them. She sat for the ceremony. She went up and gave her mom a rose because her mom's name was Rose.
Love that.
So just like all the things getting to witness. And then her mom unfortunately passed like a week or two later.
Wow.
And it was just one of those things that I look back on. And in that moment, my second shooter and I were just like, I don't know how they're getting through this, but they're doing it so beautifully and just so wonderfully. And the energy in this room, watching everyone take care of her and just support all of them, is what I always think of on like those hard days, which I know sounds stupid and cliche, but like,
It's not, because it's a heavier responsibility that like,
Yeah.
these are moments that you want to look back on, but these are also photos that will be used to remember the people once they pass.
yes,
It's a
yes.
huge responsibility.
It is. And that's where it's like, at the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword of like, holy shit, this is so much, but also how lucky am I to witness this.
Exactly. Right.
And to get to like be reminded of this moment and these people.
Again, that's showbiz, baby.
It is. It really is.
Well, even from our wedding, there's a photo that you captured of Zach's grandparents, and his grandma has passed since. And it's like the most genuine smile that she's like, I've ever seen.
Having such a good time.
I know.
I loved them.
I know, me too.
Grandparents at weddings was one of my favorite things always. And that's
Love it.
something I always made a point to focus on. Of like, who knows what the next family gathering where everyone will be here is.
Yes.
And that's why I shoot so much.
Yeah.
Like, I know I overshoot, but especially in wedding world, like there are very few times where everyone you love is together.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to remember. And
Yeah.
I think that is another frustration that I had, is like some people wanted it to be like solely about them.
A photo shoot.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, sure. But like, what about everyone else that's here? They're here for you.
I've honestly like kind of had a lot of feelings in the last like 2 or 3 years, just with what the industry has kind of become and what wedding days have kind of become, which is something we've talked about since the beginning of the podcast that we wanted to really talk about. And I think getting started kind of in the industry, that's all I saw. All I saw on Instagram was the perfect, the curated, the beautiful, the whatever. And at first I was like, oh, this is what it is. Then getting into it, I don't know what kind of clicked in my head. And I think it was maybe like seeing really close friends and my sister getting married that I'm like, these are the photos I would want to see. I want to see my grandparents. And Cassie took so many of our family that I'm like, holy shit, I don't care about any of the other stuff.
Yep.
Like, I just care about these moments. And I just wish that was something that was shared more.
Absolutely.
And I like that it's starting to become a thing.
It started. We're finally course correcting.
Yes.
Which
Right.
I love to see.
Yes.
We're seeing the revival of like the already nostalgic film edits coming back,
Yes.
which I love.
Yes.
It's not necessarily my style that I had, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that just having that, you already want it to feel nostalgic, so make it so it is nostalgic.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that's where it's headed.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that, like people say like, I love the nostalgic, I love like that vibe. And it's like, because it really was like nothing was curated back then.
Right.
It wasn't. It was truly just so organic and real and raw. And like, not that like some more curated moments still can't have organic feel and be a more organic moment.
Yeah.
But there is like, I'm like, that's why we like it so much, because it is
Real.
what we had. Yeah, it was the real, and it was the unedited, and it was the uncurated. And that's what we need more of. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox
We're
now.
getting there.
We are getting
Absolutely. And that one of my slogans, I suppose, under the Black Coffee umbrella is like, we want the real shit. I don't want to like have a gazillion people in your wedding party where it's just like, okay, stand, smile, fake laugh, haha. Like,
Right.
that.
Well, even
Can I do that? Absolutely. If that's what you want, we can do that.
Right.
But the things that I vibe with are going to organically feel better than that, because you give a shit about the people and their experience around you, not
Right.
just like, I want this day because I dreamt of it as a kid.
and I want to be a pretty princess.
Right. Like, and
Yeah.
there's a market for that.
I know.
That exists, and like that will always exist.
Right.
And that's fine. But I think collectively we're seeing that shift of like, no, actually I don't need it to be overly staged, overly designed. Like, I just want it to be a good time.
I just want a good time.
Well, I think it goes back to even just like your prompts when you would do
Oh, yeah.
bridesmaids photos. Like you
Yes.
would be like, what's the funny, like you would ask for real life stories and like capture us talking about it instead of just doing the fake post and all of that. So you definitely nailed it.
Thank you.
You're the best. We miss you in the industry, but we completely understand.
Yes.
And we're happy for you.
There's times that I'm like, man, I really miss it. And there's other times that I'm like, I'm free.
Yeah. And what a freeing feeling. I cannot imagine. Like just knowing, like, what am I going to do this weekend?
Who knows?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. You can do
Let's
whatever
see
you
where the
want.
weekend takes me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't have to plan out a year, 2 years in advance. Nice.
And that's been a huge adjustment period in
Yeah.
my life, because I naively thought that everyone in my life would be like, okay, she's done with weddings now, we're inviting her to everything. And
Like, oh, wait. Hello.
I got my own feelings very hurt
Yeah.
Yeah.
with that, because I was like, how come no one's inviting me to anything?
Yeah.
It's because, you've trained them your entire adult life
That you
being
can't
in the
be there.
service industry, and then weddings that you're never available on a weekend. So why would they think to ask you?
You brought that up at the beginning. You said you kind of lost some friendships because of that.
Yeah, like there would be group chats just popping off on a Saturday, and I'm like, I
can't even
have
look
to
at this.
leave this.
Yeah.
Like I can't. I'm working all day, and they've paid a lot of money. They deserve my 100%.
Right.
And it just, that's hard to keep up with when that's a lot of people's only free time.
Right. Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot, of just like kind of like the not understanding. And some people like are understanding of
totally.
it, but the people that kind of aren't understanding, and like similar like friend wise, like people just don't even ask anymore, and they're like, I just assumed you're busy, and it's like, yes, that's true.
was gonna say,
I
don't
felt
be
this, but
invited.
I still
Yeah.
just want to be included, which is so
Exactly.
tough.
It is.
So I'm sure that was a big adjustment.
It's been a big adjustment, and something that I have done that you both know about already is that I created like a friendship calendar, and so I send that to people, which sounds so
No, I
insane,
love it.
but it
No.
makes sense. Like, I do that with clients too, of like, here's when I'm available.
Yeah.
Right.
That way we don't have to do the back and forth of like, are you free then? Are you free here?
And then a week passes, and you're like, oh, that
Still no
week's not
plans.
good
Yeah.
anymore.
And now I
Okay.
have structured hangout time with friends where we have like 2 hours blocked off. We can get coffee, we can go grab a meal, we could go see a movie.
More intentional.
Exactly. And that's been a huge thing that I have really appreciated. And it's also been fun to be like, when that pops up, when I get the email, like, oh my God, I have a friend that wants to hang out with me.
I have plans. Yay. That's so awesome. No, I
Yeah,
do love that. Because
No,
that's what
I
you
love
sent
it.
to us, right? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And I saw it and I was like, this is baller. This is
She's
so
a
smart.
busy lady and she's managing it well.
It's
Yes.
very Leslie Knope. I will admit that. But
It's also like at the same time too, it is intentional though, because you're like, I want to see you. I'm making it easy on you. I'm giving you like, here's literally my availability. Let's hang out.
exactly.
Like I'm showing you.
Yeah.
I like that. I might
It's
take one.
modern problems require modern solutions.
So true.
We're adjusting with the times.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I want to talk about your partner, Dan.
Yes.
Because he's been a constant through all of this. How long have you guys been together?
I met him in 2013. So it's been
Okay.
12 years, almost 12 years.
Yeah, so he's
Dang.
really been there through it all.
Truly.
Wow.
Yeah. So he met me at my brokest and poorest, and still likes me, which is great.
Yay!
Did you meet at Thou Mayest?
No, it was actually 2 places before I worked at Thou Mayest. So
Okay.
it was, you're gonna lose it, Bar Louie in Power and Light.
Really?
Yeah. That place sucked.
awesome.
It always smelled like sewer gas.
So very romantic.
gosh.
Oh,
that's so
extremely,
funny.
extremely. So
Setting the tone.
I was bartending, and I would always have Royals games on. I'm a huge baseball fan, and this guy came in, and he would sit at the bar, and he was like making sure the Royals game was on. I was like, "Yeah, got it." And so we were talking, and because I'm me, I was just asking a lot of questions, like, "Hey, like, how's everything going?" Just like kind of shooting the shit as you do as a bartender. And then he kept coming back, and I was like, "Hey man, this place sucks, and we don't have
you here?"
regulars. Like, what's your deal?" And he is much more introverted and private than I am, and so it took a while to get that out of him. And so part of that was just like, "Are you gonna tell me anything?"
I think you might
I'm
like
waiting.
me.
And it wasn't even that. I was just like, "Are you gonna like let me in at all? I
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
like see what I can
are
get
you?
at." Yeah,
Right.
literally. And so after a couple times, I was like, "Okay, like, what's your deal, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just new in town. I just moved here for work." And I was like, "Okay, so like, what do you do?" And he goes, "I work in analytics." And I was like, "Okay, who for?" And he goes, "The Royals." And I was like, "Okay, cool, love that, like, good for you." So he has a PhD in computer science. So all 3 of his
Damn.
degrees are in computer science: undergrad from Notre Dame, master's from Columbia, so he lived in New York for a couple of years,
That's amazing.
and then PhD from Vanderbilt. He's brilliant.
He's
Holy
smart.
shit.
Yeah, he's a
you
smart
just keep
one.
going.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
He is amazing, and he is someone that just really invigorates the people around him, and it's not a challenging way, but everyone that's around him wants to just level up. It's really cool to see.
That's really awesome.
So the first time we ever hung out, I was like, "Okay, so you seem cool enough. Like,
Yeah.
let me show you around down from Kansas City, like
Yeah.
from a local's perspective, because this place ain't it." And so the first time we ever hung out, I took him for a drink at Manifesto, R.I.P.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
And
But so
we made it just in time for a drink at last call. And it was April. In 2013, we had a really late, like, fog drizzly season. And it was before they redid 20th Street. So we were there, had our drink, had a great conversation. And I was like, "Hey, I'll give you a ride back. No problem." It's so foggy and rainy that I did not see the median on 20th Street and turned straight into it. And he goes, "It's cool, I have AAA."
Oh my god.
So flat tire. We pull over.
I have
AAA
AAA.
comes in. We're like sitting on the seat warmers, just talking the whole time. And we're friends. We just became friends
Yeah.
and hung out for 6 months, and then it kind of just organically shifted into, "Oh, I think
Romantic.
we're more than friends."
Yeah.
It was, and so yeah, we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
What a good story, too. Like,
I
that's
know.
a
I
great
love
story.
it. Great first date.
That's awesome.
I thought you were gonna be like, and he changed the tire right then and there.
I was like, "It's raining. Neither of us need to
we're
do
staying
this.
inside.
We're good."
We're continuing this conversation.
Exactly.
So what did you've been very vocal.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to get married.
Absolutely.
Was he on the same page as you there?
Whole time.
I love that for you.
Yeah. Much to our mom's dismay. Sorry, mom.
Sorry, Mom.
But also not.
But they've both come around to accepting and loving us for what we are, which is
Right.
fantastic. So, yeah.
Where, like, if you don't mind sharing,
Yeah.
like, where did that kind of come from? Like, when did you realize, and like, why?
Oh, so I grew up in a very strict evangelical religion. And
Side note, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Liberty.
Okay.
Okay.
I was a couple years ahead of Meredith.
Got it. Okay.
So I grew up in the Church of Christ, which was very strict, like a cappella, no instruments, nothing. And it was always like, women need to be silent and submissive. And you've met me.
It's not you at all.
Even from a very young age, I
You were
was
like, what is this?
Yeah. One of the elders at my church actually told me, so my brother and my mom has always been very musically gifted. And so I started playing piano at like the age of 5. I played percussion through college, and I was always in choir too. So I've always been in the arts,
Yes, yes.
as it were. And my brother played the cello, and one of his friends had picked him up, and so they like handed off the cello, and I was holding it waiting for, I think, one of my parents to pull the car up. And one of the elders at my church actually told me, you can't have that in here. You're going to go to hell if you have an instrument here in the church. And I was like, what the fuck? I was actually really proud of myself at the time, because I was probably like 15, 16. I was like, well, what if that's God's gift that he gave me?
Oh, shit.
I love it. What'd she say?
He was like,
Excuse me. Of course.
I said a woman.
Sorry. Of course.
A woman would never.
Damn it, Sarah.
Sorry. I'm back. I'm here.
And so he was just, I'm just like kind of walked off. So I went through a lot of, I was supposed to go to the University of Nebraska. I had earned a spot on their drumline, a scholarship for percussion performance.
So
Damn,
cool.
I did not know this about you.
Yeah.
Do you still drum? Sorry.
No,
Okay.
I'm out of practice, which is
I feel
an
like
unfortunate
you'd
thing.
still have it.
I was going to say, I have a little
It would
drum
take a
set. I
little
really
bit.
want to see you.
Oh, drum set was never my thing. Mine was
Okay.
more like marimba.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
More like the xylophone family.
Love
Yes.
Still baller.
it. Yes, I love
Honestly,
it.
way
It's
more
getting Sabrina
baller.
Carpenter. Yeah.
And then I played tenors on drumline, which is also why I'm in physical therapy. I've never been easy on my
Yeah.
body.
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh, your upper body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
those traps.
yeah.
Dang.
They're strong. They're run down, but they're strong.
They've seen some things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was supposed to go to Nebraska. I was always like raised, my dad's from Nebraska. So we were always raised as Nebraska fans. And my parents went through a really messy divorce right as I was finishing high school, which is a really hard time for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad had an affair with the woman I worked my first job with.
No.
And her son and my brother played football together. And we went on a cruise with her and her husband and her son.
Before you knew?
But while it was happening. We didn't know yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Side note, do you want that taken out?
That's fine. You can leave that.
That's my
I'm
truth.
just like, I need to ask this right now.
No, it is just a fact. Like,
Yeah.
life happens.
Yeah.
Like, they made their own choices. They're still married. They ended up together.
Yeah.
Hope it was worth it.
Yeah.
Holy shit, though.
Yeah, it was a lot. And especially when you're 17, 18 years old,
Oh, yeah.
it's a really shitty time for that. So
That's brutal.
I understandably started questioning a lot of things in my life at that point in time. And so supposed to go to Nebraska, panicked because my mom, understandably, because all of a sudden, like, everything was chaotic and up in the air, was like, I don't know, out-of-state tuition is really expensive. Like, are you sure? Like, I went from having, we're paying for your college to, like, good luck. Figure it out. And so it's like, okay. got
Another
it.
bomb. Nice.
Yeah, like, and so I panicked and went to a tiny, like, talking 500 people total, tiny private Christian college in York, Nebraska. And that was the worst, but I also learned so much about myself in that one semester that I was there. And ended up questioning enough that I was like, I don't know that this is for me, because I see the teachings and how people are acting not align. And I don't know that I can sit with myself and like live with myself in that mix of feelings.
Right.
So I transferred to Mizzou at semester. That was January of 2011. And I felt so out of place there.
Yeah.
It was not a place I ever wanted to be. And when I transferred in, enrollment at Mizzou was so high that they put me in extended campus housing. So I wasn't even on campus.
Oh, wow.
And then it was the first snowpocalypse.
Oh, God.
And so I got like snowed in, and I just never felt like I found a sense of community there at all. And I was like, okay, I'm taking out all of these student loans for what? What? Like, I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like my major while I was there was nutrition and exercise science. And I was like, I could do so many different things, and I don't really know what I want to do.
Right.
So I was like, fuck it.
I'm going.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So I moved home, and that's how I got into the service industry. Is like I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to start working and figure this out and pay off the $20,000 of student loans I already racked up, and
Right.
see where life takes me. And then fast forward,
One
like
thing led to another.
Yeah, met Rita, worked at Thalmaeus, and here we are.
And here we are.
I just think it's so sorry, my words. It's just so important to show you that like the relationships that you build are going to get you further
Exactly.
in life, and that everything it's going to open up the next door, and then the next door from there you may not know at the time, but just keep being yourself and actually putting yourself out there and communicating with people and letting them get to know you.
Yes.
And that's going to open all the doors for you.
100%. And I think part of the reason why I was more comfortable walking away from Wedding World is because I've already lived a million lives.
Right.
Right.
Like I've already.
This is just the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's really important to advocate that if you are in a situation that you don't love, you don't have to stay there.
Yes.
Like you can walk away and burn it all down and rebuild anytime you want.
Then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
There will be consequences. You're
Yeah.
gonna have. It's a huge adjustment period. But you can always figure that out.
And look, you'll be better for it.
If nothing else, you will have stories to tell.
Yes.
For the plot.
And lessons
For
learned.
the plot. Yes. Dang.
Wow, that was so much.
It
I'm
was-
like,
I know.
that's so much that I didn't know.
I know.
I love it.
And that's the thing is like everyone lives like such nuanced lives, and there's so much that goes on. And so I try to have a lot of grace and understanding that there's so much people go through that like I'm never going to know about. And same for me. Like a lot of people just don't know that about me because that happened like 2 decades
Lifetimes ago.
yeah. It's I've lived a million lives since. So like
Yeah.
why let that control me? I get to control that narrative. I get to be the person I put out in the world every single day.
That's the clip right there.
Damn straight.
It's so good.
And before you say any other really good shit, I honestly just want to talk way more about Dan because I feel like I don't know him, but I do know him just based off social media.
He
But
loves being a man of mystery.
I know you don't like that. I kind of like it.
No, I appreciate it and I
Yes.
respect it. He's much more we're both ambiverts, but I'm more extroverted but need recovery time.
Yes.
He's more introverted but can be extroverted. Like he can turn it on. It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And it's a good balance too because
Yeah.
it's not both of us being like, oh my God, hi all the time.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it works really well.
It's a really
well.
nice balance.
It
Yes. And it's funny too because you were talking about like your guys' like career paths could not have been more opposite. He has a PhD, he has all this schooling, and you were like, no, this is not for me.
Totally.
Which I think is kind of cool. Not even really knowing him, I'm kind of like, what like personality wise, like I know your personality, so I am just so like interested to meet him one day and just like, you're the guy I've heard about.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
You're that guy.
It will happen.
You're that guy. Oh yeah, it has.
We'll
to
put it in your calendar after spring training.
Please bring Dan
Actually,
as well.
after season.
After-
Wait. Did we even talk about on here that what he does?
No.
Was that recording?
Well, no, you talk.
Okay, so his
Maybe
current
go
job,
ahead. Yeah.
So current job title is Vice President and Assistant General Manager of Research and Development. So he oversees the entire analytics department. He started as an analyst in 2013, and his job titles have been a real mouthful since. So it started as an analyst, and then a senior analyst, and then a director, and then a senior director of quantitative analysis and amateur scouting, which was the
Right over
most.
The fact that you remembered that,
The most.
dang.
He got business cards for it, and I was like, "Does that even fit?"
Can we make an acronym?
One side is literally just his title.
Yeah. And then he got promoted to an AGM, which is so cool.
That's and
Yeah.
how long ago was that?
It's been a couple of years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So an AGM, a VP, he's
Killing
crushing
it.
it. He, like I said, he's brilliant. He's funny. He's so talented, but also is such a good teacher.
Yeah.
He can explain things in a way that anybody can understand. And I think that's one of the most amazing things.
Yeah.
And just one of my own pillars for myself for my entire life, even though I dropped out of college, just like never stop learning. I always want to like soak in whatever information I can, learn
Yeah.
new things. And
Well, because there's different ways to learn. Like we
100%.
talked about, I think either with Mallory or something, like I can learn outside of just sitting and getting lectured to in a classroom. Like, that's not the only way to learn. That's not the only way to get an education.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the traditional whatever way, but like, that's not it.
Totally.
Learn with your hands.
And he's actually the first person in his family to go to college. So for him to be the first person to go to college
Oh,
to
and
then
he
also
just
get a
did
PhD.
it.
Oh yeah. We both are
Wow.
dive headfirst into the deep end people.
That is, and that is something I also wanted to talk about because you two are very big career driven, like, and you work so hard. I mean, I'm really speaking off of like what I've heard you tell me about Dan. I can tell you guys are very similar, but also because I understand in a different way of having a partner in sports.
Yeah.
Having a partner in sports. I can't imagine having a partner in baseball. Holy shit.
That's a long season.
I tell Holt, I'm like, thanks for choosing football. Thanks for not choosing basketball or baseball.
I'm very jealous of your schedule.
I'm curious though, like, I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit. What is it like with that schedule? Because again, like, not being in weddings, I'm sure can somewhat help, but still creating your own schedule, like, you're still busy as shit.
Yeah.
So how does that, you're still busy every fucking day. And then he's weekends and all, like, I mean, he's every day. Like, how do you guys manage that? How does that work?
So things have improved a little bit under the new ownership regime. There, in JJ's leadership, he's implemented a little bit more of a work-life balance schedule. So
Love that.
Previously, during the season, home games, he would be at the stadium at 9 a.m. till whenever that home game ends. And so on a 12 home game stretch, when you're working basically like 100 hours a week,
Yeah. Crazy.
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So now they don't have to report in until noon on home games, which has been a huge thing of like having mornings to like go on a walk or,
Yeah.
you know, make breakfast, get a workout in, something.
Right. Having time together.
Yes, literally, because it's a 6-month season. It's long.
Yeah.
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 And he's already in Arizona. So like he's already reported for spring training.
Yes.
He's there for the whole 6 weeks.
Wow.
He's there the whole time. I will be joining him for a couple weeks in March, which I'm excited about.
When did you decide to start doing that? How long have you been doing that?
I think 2016 is the first year I went
Yeah.
out.
That was a big year for you.
It was. There's a lot
That's a big year.
I started making money. And
Yeah, you're able to do these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Turns out people need money to function and survive.
Amazing.
Wow.
Who knew? So I definitely, it's been a really cool thing to just see his career grow, and he's my biggest fan, and also sometimes my harshest critic, but in a way that is so helpful and helps me grow and get better. And I am just so grateful for him. I feel very lucky that I have a really awesome partner who gives me plenty of space to be independent, but is also extremely supportive. It's a really good balance.
I love this.
I know. I was just going to say,
I was like, start smiling.
Yes. No,
I like him, okay?
I love it. But that's like my favorite question to ask. Like, I feel like every time we ask, okay, so tell us about your partner. Yeah, and I'd love just seeing your face just light up. It's so sweet.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I miss him a lot already.
When you head down there?
Not for a couple more weeks. So my brother just graduated from law school. And so
Wow.
he's taking the bar at the very end of February.
Oh, wow.
And they have an almost 9-month-old now. His name's Everett, and he's the cutest.
Yeah, so you're an aunt.
I know. Ant life is
so fun, isn't it?
So built for jet setting, fun ant lifestyle.
Yes, you
That
are.
is the
You
role
are,
I
like-
was built for.
When they say like this is that, like it is you. It is
Yes,
Adri.
Absolutely. Like I was
You're
made
just
for
like the
this.
cool, awesome. Hell yeah.
But I feel
Yeah.
like that's not talked about enough. It's like, you're a mom or you're not. It's like, what about the ants out there?
Absolutely.
I agree.
I love that kid.
Yes. No.
I'm
literally.
excited to see
Post about him.
he's becoming less potato and more sentient, and it's so cool to see like who are you gonna be?
Yeah.
Like what
What's
are
your
you
personality?
becoming? Yeah.
Yeah, you're a little human.
Yeah. He's starting to like walk with assistance, and he has a lot to say, but it's all just
Because you mentioned it a little bit, I kind of want to go back into it. That and the marriage, but the marriage and kids.
Yeah.
Has like you said, you've known for a long time that like marriage and kids, that's not what I want. That's just not what makes sense for me. Has Everett coming into your life like furthered that of like, no, I realize this is why I don't, or like has it at all kind of like,
oh, it's definitely I love sleeping at night.
like,
If my sleep
hell
schedule's
no.
off, I am not fun to
functioning.
be around.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
No, and it's something too that especially in therapy after deconstructing and just trying to really figure out my place in the world, where like my family fell apart and college wasn't really a good fit. Like I'm so grateful for Brenda, my therapist at the time. I was going like twice a week.
Shout out, Brenda.
For a while, and I needed it.
Yeah.
Just to really process. And so there was one day especially that really sticks out in my mind at therapy where she's like, okay, so you don't believe the religion you were raised in. You have problems with that. What do you believe in? And I was like, oh, that's a great question. Ooh. And so this is funny, but it's also true. Like, my religion is don't be a dick.
Yeah, it's that simple.
I do love that.
Literally, like, if you show up and you give a damn and you are just there for people, and you do things that are thoughtful and nice, that's what I believe in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think that should actually be on your koozie. I changed my mind.
Sarah's gonna like rebrand so many different brands, so many different things for you.
I just want different slogans on each koozie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, different
rainbow colored.
quotes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I have a vision. I can see it
I
for
love
you.
it.
Yes.
My alter ego websites.
Yeah, exactly. Who do I need to give this one to?
Yeah, who am I today?
Exactly.
I get to choose.
Multifaceted. Again, we said multifaceted.
Yes.
Okay, I had a question and I lost it. Okay, no. So you started therapy with everything that happened with your parents.
Yes.
Okay. And are you still in therapy?
Currently, no.
Okay.
But I'm not opposed to getting back in, just because right now, just with the horrors, there's a lot going on, and I keep deleting social media apps, and then I'll come back on and like check on things, and then it kind of sucks me in a little bit, and then I'll delete it again. It's like
so hard not to.
And it's hard to stay
informed without going insane?
100%.
Yeah.
Like, Substack for me has been a really nice place where it's like mostly articles and not as much outrage.
And opinions and
But also then there's days like the Super Bowl and the Kendrick Lamar performance, and it's just like I want to be a part of like what everyone's talking about.
Yes.
It's a really, I'm having a hard time finding that balance, and I feel like taking care of myself inside and out, which spin class is maybe my like most utilized form of just like moving my body no matter what. When did I start?
I was gonna say, tell us how you got into that. How'd you find it?
How many rides
TikTok.
have you done?
Yeah.
Okay, so TikTok is how I like found. I did a little bit of spin class in college, but it was never like the choreography type.
Yeah.
And so I've always done strength training, and I love lifting weights. But I was getting to the point where I was getting winded going up a flight of stairs, and I was like, that's a problem. I need to work out some cardio. Okay, got it.
Good awareness on your end.
Yes. Like, we should probably,
Let's
fix
work on
that.
We should do something about this.
So I was like, I had like some knee injuries in the past, and I'm like, okay, what's something that's a little bit easier on the knees and something that I really enjoy doing? So my TikTok algorithm started showing me Christina Gerard for Power and Flow in Scottsdale. And I was actually driving down to spring training 2 years ago, and one of her playlists that she put on SoundCloud was like getting me through that last stretch of the drive where I'm just like, okay, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go. So Scottsdale, where the Royals camp is for spring training, is essentially the Olathe of Phoenix. It is not close to anything. It is on the very northwest corner, and then like to get to Scottsdale or Central Phoenix is like 40 minutes to an hour depending on traffic. So I was like, no, I don't know. I like talked myself out of trying it there.
Yeah.
But then saw Bridget, who owns Bronze and Blush, that she was going to revive here in Kansas City. And so I was like, okay, I'll try it when I get home. And so I gave myself about a month after being back from spring training, and it was April of that year that I went and tried out Revive, and I was just immediately like hooked.
Yeah.
And it's just like lights out, music up, my soul's in the club kind of vibes. And it's so true. Like every day that I'm there, no matter if it's like a bad day, a neutral day, a good day, it's always better after that. And I just think finding something where you can move your body with joy, where it's not necessarily about any physical outcomes, it's just about like feeling good is so important to have. And it's really that it's the most consistent I've ever been working out, especially given my schedule. Like there are some days where I'm just like, if I don't go 2 or 3 days in a row, I can feel it.
You notice.
And it's not my body, it's
mental.
Oh my God, I'm just like so like everything pisses me off, and I'm so annoyed, and I'm just like, what? Oh,
You said you got that fire in you.
Exactly.
It's starting to get too high. We need to let it out.
rage is coming
Yeah,
out.
exactly. And so that's been awesome. And they started implementing lift classes in. So now I'm just doing doubles, and I love it so much that while my side quest at spring training this year is actually that same person that I like had that intro with, I'm doing a cycle instructor training with her.
No way.
I love that for
I'm
you.
so
That's
excited.
incredible.
And I don't know that I necessarily want to teach.
Right,
I
but
could be like a
still.
sub, but I just want to keep learning, and she's the best.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
If you do start teaching, I would absolutely go to your
Oh,
class.
fuck
God.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I would too.
Because I'm on that journey right now of like, how can I move my body that actually brings me joy? And I haven't found that just yet. So,
Well, I do have, until then, I do have free
amazing.
guest passes.
Where's it at? Actually, we don't need to talk about that on there. We can cut it out.
Oh, it's at Westport Road and State Line.
Okay.
It's really central. It's right by KU Med.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I need
No,
to go
please,
then. Yeah.
please
I'll
go.
go.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
It's so fun.
I'm a little intimidated and scared.
That's okay.
That's my issue. I think I'm so like scared to put myself in like a public class like
Yeah.
that. But you said the lights are off, and that
Yeah.
immediately I'm like, hang on.
And it's so cool. There's so many like different, there's a huge age range, different body types. Like it's so welcoming and inclusive, and all of the coaches are so good. They're phenomenal. And it, as an adult, it has become like, oh, this is the place I make friends now. Like,
Yeah.
this is cool.
Yeah.
Like, we have social events, and we're all hanging out together, and like I have a lot of people's numbers.
Yeah,
and
you
we
guys
text
all
each
went
other.
to the benefit this past
Yeah.
summer too. You all
Yeah.
showed up and were like, who are all these people? This is such a fun group. I want to know
so
them.
funny. As we were walking in, I was like, a lot of people here are going to be very confused why I'm here with people they don't know.
I know. I just loved it. The entire group that you were with, like all of the energy, like it just kept moving. And I'm like, hi, I want to hang out. I want to talk. Hi.
It's great energy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like it. I mean,
And it's really hype. Like everyone,
Yeah.
we're like, woo, and like clapping, and there's choreography.
Yeah.
And
I do
it's
love choreography.
Super fun. Yeah.
I do love that. Okay.
Yeah. Come hang.
No, I'm
We'd love to have
excited.
you.
I know. I would love to be
Yeah.
there.
So being an inclusive vendor has always been a like high priority for me in weddings, corporate events, all of that, because there will always be a market for vendors who discriminate against people. That's always going to exist. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen, but it does.
Yeah.
And again, I like to be mouthy online. I've always been very vocally adamant of trying to treat people with fairness and equity. And even before I got into wedding world, like I was going to protests, and I've been, calling and screaming at my politicians for a long time. And so it felt like a very natural transition to have that be a part of my businesses, because being a women-owned, queer-owned business is political.
Right.
That's just a truth.
Right.
And that's trying to be stripped away. So like, I'm not going to go down without a fight. And so, especially as a white woman in a straight presenting relationship,
Yeah.
no one's giving me shit. So I get to be really loud about it.
Yeah.
And I was a part of a group of people trying to advocate for the wedding world being more inclusive. It was called WeGo, and it was under the LGBT Chamber umbrella. And I think it was the right place at the right time, but not necessarily being overseen by the right organization. I love the LGBT Chamber. They are great. It's more business to business with them. That's more B2B. And so we did all the things. We have like bylaws. We were doing promotions and wedding shows, and it was not getting to the right people. And so a few things happened. A couple of us ended up walking away from being on the board, myself included, simply because like, as we established, I was burned out,
Right.
and I was leaving wedding world anyway. So it was like, I care so much about this,
Right.
and I love all of the queer couples that I've been so lucky to photograph. That was easily my best wedding days. Were always my queer couples.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Just because it sucks so much to see parents not showing up for their kids, and to see like the adult children of these people who have decided instead of like maybe reevaluating beliefs and being like, do I want my own child in my life? They choose to stick with an outdated thought process. And it's just so devastating to see.
Yeah.
And so I always advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, especially as a member of it myself. And that organization didn't really get to the place we wanted to go.
Right.
But it's something I still very much believe in.
Is it something you would either like down the road spearhead yourself or like kind of, I don't know, do with others, kind of like with WeCo, but like, is that something you would do?
Potentially. Something that I have learned about myself is that there are many things that I'm really good at, and there are some things that I'm just not. And I'm trying to, like in business and life, trying to just outsource the things that I'm not the strongest in, right?
Yeah.
So things that I've learned from organizations I've been involved with. I'm very active with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think they do amazing work. And I was one of their most wanted auction nominees in 2020, which was a very hard year to fundraise. And I learned very quickly, I don't think fundraising is something I want to do.
Yeah.
That's really hard
that's tough.
thing. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Very hard.
And I have a good network. I ended up raising a decent amount of money for them.
Yeah.
But I did not love that process. And that's, I think, part of the burnout. It was like,
Yeah.
I was doing that. I was, still, fortunately, with my construction clients, still out on site. I was working a lot in 2020. Like,
Yeah.
they were outside and they were, making sure roads were built. So
Right.
we were still
Still in
full steam.
business.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like the safest thing to do. It was like be outside, not in an enclosed space. So
Right.
I felt pretty okay about it. And so fundraising, while still like working a decent amount, it was not full time in 2020 for any of us.
No.
But and there were still weddings that proceeded full steam ahead, which was
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one that it was up in St. Joe, whereas nobody, it was all inside, both ceremony and reception, and not a single person wore a mask except for the three of us working the wedding. And they're like, we can't hear you. And it's like, well, I'm not breathing your air, so
Don't know
This
to tell
is
you.
staying on.
yeah.
God, that was a wild time.
It was, there's so much that like played into the burnout of like, I was just really overextending myself, potentially being a people pleaser.
Wow.
Bring it all around.
Yeah, to come full circle here. And so I just had to figure out like, okay, I believe so much in this, but I don't think that my work is being taken further with it.
Right.
Which is a hard decision to come to. And like, I love everyone that was on the board. I still think it's something that we need.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know that that's the work that I'm cut out for.
That's a big thing to recognize and be aware of. And it is hard. It's kind of like you talked about earlier, like you love weddings, you love being a part of it, but I recognize something's got to give.
Yep.
And like, that's just kind of one of those things. I mean, that's a whole part of life in itself of this isn't fully, I can't give my all, I can't give my best to all of this at once. So something's got to give and that has to be it. It doesn't mean I don't still support it and want it to be a thing and want it to thrive, but I just can't be part of it right now. Yep.
That's exactly it.
That makes sense.
Well, I'm glad that you were part of it at all. Like, at least you can say that you've
Absolutely.
done what
like,
you
I'm
could with
happy
it.
to be like part of the people that got it off the ground. I think that's amazing. And I want the wedding world everywhere, but especially here where we're just a tiny little blue bubble in a deeply red state.
Yes.
I want people to feel like they can reach out to vendors and not have to be like, oh, sorry, we don't serve your kind. No one should ever hear that. And if anyone says that, I really hope both sides of their pillows are always warm.
That's the best.
Oh, dang it. Am I in?
You're
Okay. I was going to say that's the best revenge.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I hope you're never comfortable. I hope you can't sleep at night because you othered people. You made someone feel like they aren't worthy of, they want to give you money. They thought your work is good and they want to hire you. And you're just saying, no, that's shitty.
I agree.
Be better than that.
I agree.
100%.
Very much so.
How would you recommend, I guess, being a part of the community, the LGBTQ plus community? How would you recommend
a vendor who wants to show that they are inclusive, but they may not necessarily be getting those clients.
Totally.
What would you recommend for them?
So there are many ways that you can go about that without doing the like rainbow washing.
Right. Or like you have one couple and it's the token
Totally.
couple. Yeah.
An easy way on your about page, everyone's welcome here.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to, it doesn't have to be overt. You don't have to be like the front yard sign of like, science is real, love is love. Like it doesn't have to be in your face.
Yeah.
Right.
Mine has always been a little bit in your face.
But that's
because
who you are.
Yeah. Like I think that's really setting an expectation of like, this is who you're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are a little bit more subtle, and that's totally great. Probably recommended for some people. Like that's not a personality type that everyone vibes with, and
Right.
I think that's a really important thing to understand. So, putting on your website of like, you know, everyone's welcome here. We don't discriminate. Queer couples welcome. It doesn't have. You don't have to like
Blast it.
You don't have to do the most. You just let them know.
But then, if you have, you know, a friend that's working a queer wedding and you're like, hey, I would love to work this with you. Can I use it on my portfolio? You don't want to tokenize people. That's
Exactly.
That's the whole thing. So
That's the hard part, the balance between.
And queer love is so beautiful, and it's fought for, and it must be defended. And I think it's so, even that's just like, hey, I have a friend, like some friends that they would look really great doing a couple session.
Yeah.
And that way they get those photos.
Yeah.
As long as they have a clear understanding of like, hey, is this okay that I'm using your likeness for my marketing materials?
Yeah.
Because that consent is huge.
Yeah.
Right.
To use those photos just to attract more queer clients
Right.
is not cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's using your queer friends. You're tokenizing them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's definitely ways to go about it. Setting up a styled shoot where you know, are using, they know that they're modeling for marketing purposes specifically.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you get to have a team of vendors together.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great way to showcase that, because then if you have that on your portfolio, no matter what kind of vendor you are, then it's like visually showing, yes, I work with queer couples.
Yes. And it's setting the expectation from everyone else from there. Like, this is my intention. This is what I want this for, rather than, like you said, using your friends to just
tokenize them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing about styled shoots, models should be paid. Every
love that.
single time, especially queer models, because you are using their likeness for you to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit, every vendor can pitch in.
Yeah.
They need to be paid because you are using their faces to further your business.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
What I'm also curious, what are your thoughts on style shoots?
I was very anti-styled shoot for a while.
Yeah.
I understand the purpose of them. I think they can be valuable to showcase, especially like building a portfolio. I'm still a little bit of the opinion that it's more for like the beginning of your career. I think it can be really valuable to showcase like, okay, here's something I'm really inspired by. Like, here's
Right.
the inspiration for it.
Yeah.
to
Like,
show
I have
that to
this
clients.
idea. I just want to
Yes.
want to do
I
it.
think that's extremely valuable. I think it has become this entire like vicious cycle
Yes.
where people will shoot primarily style shoots and sell that as real weddings.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's so skeezy, and I
Yes.
hate it.
Yes.
Because it's not
Your
real,
body language right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right, just kind of that's been my opinion all along. Sorry to kind of jump on just like a photo soapbox for a second, but I was always curious because I think they are great. I think how they're marketed and then therefore how they're used, I just am like, it's unattainable, it's unrealistic.
Totally.
Because who are these for?
Right.
It's to get clients.
Yeah.
You want people to see, look at this cool, awesome, big setup I have. Cool. But what bride and groom or couple or whoever is going to see that and be like, wow, that's amazing. It's what I want. And then you're going to crush their soul and their dreams because it's like, oh, that was fake.
Yeah.
That's not your wedding
it's
day.
misleading.
Yeah.
It
Great.
can be. It can be used as a way to like, okay, this is the inspiration we're
Yes.
going for, or like, there's a vendor I really want to work with, and this is
Right.
a way to like open that door.
Yes.
To me, styled shoots are more vendor facing than they should be client facing.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great way to, socialize, to build that community, to get the portfolio. Because, when you're starting out, it's hard as shit.
Absolutely.
So you got to do something. And, I get,
Right.
the creative aspect of, sometimes you just want it. That's what we do. You just want to create. You want to work with other people. Absolutely. I think then, therefore, how it's marketed on social media is the problem.
Yeah.
That's just me. Thanks for sharing. I was curious.
That is the correct opinion.
Thank you. All right, I'm done here. See you guys later. Bye. That was it.
So we've talked about how you've lived multiple lives,
Yes.
and especially just knowing where you came from and where you are today. What's one piece of advice that you would give younger Adri at this point in time?
That's a really great question. I have been on a whole journey of like healing my inner child. I think that's,
We love talking about this.
Yes, it's my favorite subject to talk about.
I think, especially given like the environment I was raised in religiously, that it is absolutely okay to be loud and to have an opinion. You are allowed to take up space, and people want to hear what you have to say. You're not supposed to be silent.
Damn.
So good.
All right, so I'll be replaying that on a loop for the rest of my life. Thank
like
you
that's my
so
ringtone
much. Honestly, putting it everywhere.
Your alarm, you wake up and it's Adri. You are not supposed to be silent.
What a great way to start the day.
Yeah.
I really might just have
Love it.
that. Might start my day like that. But that is so true. Did you discover that, like, that feeling, that, not like mantra, but like, was that through therapy? Was that kind of through the journey that you said you've kind of...
A little bit, but also like, again, fueled by rage fire. And I always have. When I was told that, even from a very young age, I was like, that doesn't seem right. And so it has just been getting myself to the point of giving myself the tools to work through and process, like, okay, they said that for these reasons, but like, is that the truth that I live in?
Yeah.
And then just kind of evaluating, okay, what does that person look like? Who do I show up as?
Right.
And then going from there.
I am curious because I've talked about this with you and with my sister and probably just in general on here. I have a hard time with like the inner conflict of like, I was raised with this moral, with this idea, but like I have the opposite idea. I have the opposite value, but on the inside, I'm like, oh, that feels wrong. That feels bad. That feels like... Did you have that, especially coming, you said, from like the religious background, of like combating that feeling of, I know that's not really what's true and what's real, but did you ever have that inside of, I know this isn't what I really think, but it's hard to kind of tell myself that wasn't me, that was just what I was taught?
Absolutely. There was a huge grieving process in the whole thing, and it lasted a few years, truly.
Yeah.
Like it's not an easy cut and dry.
Right.
And the thing that really stuck out in your question is I don't think the morals have changed. I still very much care about like all of the like strong teachings I was learned.
Right.
And I think morally, I am advocating for, you know, all of the marginalized people in the world to be taken care of. Like that's something that has always been there.
Yeah.
I just saw a lot of hypocrisy in people's actions. And so I'm like, I think there's other ways that I can show up and still take care of the world around me and like make the world around me a better place.
Yeah.
In the way that feels true to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looks different for everyone. And like, I definitely don't want to bash religion because I know a lot of people find a lot of understanding and a lot of community there. I think that's a really valuable thing. I just know that it wasn't the one that I was in didn't fit in the truth that I believed in of, you know, loving your neighbor.
Yep.
Yeah. It's as simple as that.
I know.
Oh, God.
It really is. And just letting everyone believe what they want and what makes, like you said, what makes sense for them. Like that, if that's what makes sense for you, that makes what makes sense for me, and you're a good human.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
100%. Like the diversity of beliefs is a beautiful thing as long as it's not trying to harm people.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we talked about maybe last episode, or maybe I'm getting it confused, but I mean, there should be difference in opinion. You should
Absolutely.
be challenged in your thinking,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be you're disrespecting me as a person or disrespecting me because of my views. I can sit here and I can be like, no, tell me about why you feel this way or why you think differently than me, because we
Absolutely.
need that. We can't all think the same things, or else what a boring world that would
if
be.
you live in an echo chamber where everyone agrees with you, you're in danger.
Yes. Yes.
Both sides,
Literally.
like all sides of the spectrum there.
Yes.
You need to have people that disagree with you, and you need to be able to figure out like where that conflict lives in your own brain.
Right.
I'm very anti-AI for your thoughts. Like that's not something ChatGPT can tell you,
No.
right? Like you need to be able to form your own opinions and your beliefs.
Yes.
Right.
And know like where you stand.
Right. Right.
And if you don't, then like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And that's not to talk about.
It's just so good.
It is. And not like, I mean, that's like the world right now. I feel like it is just so much like, I believe this, I believe that. There cannot
much
be
hate.
any in between or any compromise. It's just, I believe this and fuck you, and I believe this and fuck you. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, like we can hold multiple truths at once. Like
Yes.
you can understand that like maybe you're doing really well, but some people aren't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like those two
Empathy.
things exist at the same time.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. I really could just record half the shit you're saying and just, again, keep it on a loop.
Yes.
Close my
The
eyes.
good news is it's recorded.
Yes. So
That is true.
You
playing
can
this back.
listen to this back as many times as you'd like.
Yes, I can. Man.
I love it. Well, we love you.
I love you both so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Thank you
It's
for-
been such as soon as you said, "Hey, we're doing this. We want you as our guest." And I was like, "Yeah, immediately yes."
Yes, I'm in. We are always nervous too because we're kind of like, do you think they want to do it? Do you think they would want to?
Yeah, it's called friendship. I'm
Yeah.
like supporting you.
I was going to say, I wasn't nervous. I think that was just grace.
We've thought this before with some, not Adri.
Yeah,
I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
But like, do you think they'd want? Because it's a scary thing.
Yeah.
To like share your thoughts and
I
your
love that
feelings
you're
and
vulnerable enough to put yourself out there and try something new and different. I think that's beautiful.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing it with us.
Yeah. And thank you for just being you.
Also, thank you for a Topo Chico.
You're so welcome. I'm so sorry it didn't come in a glass bottle.
I'll
Next
forgive
time.
you for just this once.
Thank you. I did my best.
Next time.
I did go get the Topo Chico, and that's what matters.
That's really sweet of
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Of course. Absolutely. A nice, crispy Topo.
That's me.
I know. Where's that on a koozie?
I do have a Topo Chico print in my studio now.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We'll deal with that.
And my fridge is stocked full of them there.
Always.
Always.
I love it. That was one of the first things. Like, do you want a Topo Chico? Do you want an alcoholic beverage? Or do you want a coffee?
When we put that question in there, I think we both without a doubt were like, she's gonna want Topo Chico.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
I love that you gave us options
Yes.
though. I was like,
it doesn't have to be that. It can be.
it can be this, it can be that.
But if it's a latte, make sure it's whole milk.
Yeah. And a lot of people do not know this. Whole milk has less fat than alternatives.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
mostly
always
just
get whole milk.
oils.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for like any like oat milk or almond milk, there's a lot more fat per serving because it's mostly the oils
Yeah,
pulling from
that
the
makes sense.
Yeah. And like I totally understand people not wanting dairy, but like
Yes.
Yeah.
whole milk steam's the best.
It
As
does.
Former barista in the house. Yeah, it seems the best, and so that's what I prefer.
Oh, we needed that. I didn't know that. I think our people needed to hear
I was
that.
going to say, with the headphones too. Perfect.
Yeah. I love being an air horn.
Well, thank you again
Again,
for being
yeah.
here.
And we'll have you back on, hopefully, at some point.
Okay, great.
And we'll
We
get
would
drunk
love
with
to have you.
Meredith.
Yes.
Cannot wait for margs and queso.
Yes.
And yapping.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be phenomenal.
There's nothing better.
Our server is gonna be like, "What the fuck did I get into today?"
We're gonna close it down. We'll be there for like 8 hours.
Great.
Fine with me.
Well,
I'll clear my
it'll be
schedule.
entertaining.
Sounds like
so-
a great day.
Yeah.
Well, let's go get that on the calendar.
Let's go now.
Let's do it.
I'll send you my friendship calendar link.
We already have it. No, wait. We don't have the friendship one, do we?
No, yeah, that's what she sent
Okay.
us.
Okay, good.
All right,
I was like,
we'll just
hang
show
on.
it.
We're
Okay,
not
great.
on there. Okay, good. All right. Anyways, let's go get some marks.
Let's do
Great.
it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.